fun day in Indiana as the Prowlers look to finish off their 6-game road stretch perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. Will Wiggleman here with you at Hamilton Community Ice Arena in Columbus, Indiana. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's the first day of March, which is the final full month of regular season games in the FPHL. That means we have officially entered the final stretch of the FPHL regular season as we barrel down towards the playoffs. Prowlers are getting closer and closer to clinching a playoff spot. There's a possibility they can do that next weekend at home against these same Sentinels, but they will have to win tonight. So we'll see if they can get the job done. Prowlers have won 10 straight road games. We'll see if they can make it number 11 here today in Indiana. We'll have much more coming up on the pregame show next. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
Welcome to the new era of Prowlers hockey. New owner, new store, new horn, fire, projectors on the ice. Yeah, this isn't your dad's McMorrin experience. This is Prowlers hockey. Get your tickets for the show now at phprowlers.com/tickets.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PHProwlers, and Twitter at PHProwlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
Here on Prowlers hockey is presented by Proper 12 Versions. Initial shot of the Port Huron Prowlers. Back here in Indiana, the Prowlers and the Sentinels getting set to go here in just a few minutes. Will Wiggleman here with you on the PHP Network. Thanks so much for tuning in with us this afternoon. Little Sunday fun game here between the Prowlers and the Sentinels. Should be a really good one, as the Prowlers and Sentinels again wrap up their 3-game set here in Indiana. As we get set for this one, let's take a look back at the highlights from last night's game. And it was rough and tumble, especially in that first period. Blake Anderson and Ivan Ponovanov wrestled each other down to the ice. That one ended up with 12 minutes of penalties aside, a 2-10 for each of them. But again, the festivities, the extracurriculars involved early. Late in that period, under 2 minutes left to go, Nick Favaro finds the perfect spot off the post and in past Chris Kerr's glove. And for Favaro, a big goal to get himself to 11 on the season, and his first goal in quite a while since he scored the OT winner against these same Sentinels at McMorrin Place on January the 2nd. So it was 1-0 Prowlers through 20 minutes, and then Indiana finally got its first goal of the weekend, as Bohdan Zinchenko gave it across to Jonas Lias on the break, and Lias able to tuck it home, and that tied the game early on in period 2. And the Sentinels, they had some life at that point. Late in the frame, again, under 2 minutes to go in the period, Brian Parsons, little give and go with Blake Anderson, and Parsons slips it through on the backhand. And you'll see the pop behind the net from all the Prowler fans who came here to Indiana to support the Prowlers. And it was 2-1 Prowlers. Late in that game, Richard Colarusso took a penalty. Then he was unhappy about it, jawed at Paul Jean, the referee, and got sent off for abuse of officials for the second straight night. Colarusso is back in the lineup tonight for Indiana. But on the ensuing Prowlers power play, Nick Favaro shot tipped home by Jamie Bucell, and that was a huge insurance goal for the Prowlers. Put them ahead by 2 in the final couple of minutes, and that effectively helped them close out the win. And another good look at that tip from Bucell. So the Prowlers come away with a 3-1 victory on Saturday night. Favaro led the way with a goal and an assist. Bryant Parsons' goal was the game winner, and Reed Cooper between the pipes made 33 saves on 34 shots. Indiana continues to struggle to score goals. They scored just 3 times in 3 home games against the Prowlers this season, including getting shut out on Friday night. The Prowlers are red hot away from home. They have won their last 10 road games. We take a look at what that means for the standings in the Empire Division. Binghamton Black Bears up at the top with 110 points still, and with the Blue Ridge Bobcats and Topeka Scarecrows seemingly tanking their seasons away for whatever reason. Neither of them wants to claim that 3rd spot. Right now the Bobcats have it, but both the Scarecrows and the Bobcats have lost twice this weekend. Prowlers have opened up now a 12-point lead for 2nd place in the Empire, and that means home ice advantage in round 1 of the Commissioner's Cup playoffs. Boy, wouldn't it be exciting to see if the Prowlers can win a series on home ice in front of the loud, proud McMorran faithful. Hat tricks also are not out of it now. They're just 10 points behind Topeka for that final playoff spot, although they'd have to go on a heck of a heater and hope the Scarecrows continue falling to have any chance at the playoffs. Let's take a look now at some players to watch on both sides, starting with the Sentinels. And Bohdan Zinchenko has been a guy who's been a leader offensively for the Sentinels team when he's in the lineup. He did not play on Friday, but last night picked up the assist on the goal by Jonas Leas. And he'll be an important piece of the offense for Indiana again tonight. On the other side for the Prowlers, Nick Favaro is having himself a heck of a season offensively. 29 points in 41 games so far. That's the most points by a Prowlers defenseman not named Alex Johnson since the 2017-18 season when Josh Colton put together a 46-point campaign. So the Prowlers getting some more scoring from their back end, and courtesy of Nick Favaro. Take a look at where Favaro slots in the lineup. It's in his usual spot alongside Johnson on that top D pairing. Everybody staying the same as far as the forwards and defense are concerned. The only change, Prowlers going back to Bailey Huber this afternoon after Reed Cooper made 33 saves in the win last night. And Huber, perfect 29 for 29 on Friday night here in this building. We'll see if he can put up another big performance. Huber has been very sharp as of late for the Prowlers. Well, the Prowlers and Meyer combining for the Goals for Good program this season. For every goal the Prowlers score, Meyer will donate money to help bring food to families in need in our community. So far this season, the Prowlers and Meyer have helped deliver over 8,000 meals to families in need in our community. So a great cause, of course, for the Prowlers and Meyer. Port Huron added 3 more goals to that last night. They have 8 so far this weekend. As they continue to announce the starting lineup for the Indiana Sentinels. We'll get you the Prowlers starting lineup as well in just a few moments after the national anthem, which will be coming up shortly here in Columbus. And that is tonight's national anthem here in Indiana. Prowlers and Sentinels getting ready to go to wrap up their 3-game weekend set. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup for the Prowlers, presented by Orthopedic Associates. It will be Luke James, Alex Ray, and Connor Bazal up front. Brian Parsons and Brett Lockhart, the Massachusetts connection, on defense. And again, Bailey Huber back between the pipes for the second time this weekend. That brings us to our Harrison Meadow Fab starting goaltending matchup. A couple of goaltenders who are trending in very different directions. Huber playing some of his best hockey of the season. He's won his last 5 starts, including again going 29 for 29 on Friday. Meanwhile, John Werber playing for the first time this weekend. He has lost 8 of his last 9. We get set for puck drop on the Munger Physical Therapy. First period will be Connor Bazal and Blake Peavy taking the opening drop. And unlike last night, we start 5-on-5, but we do not start with hockey, we start with a bout. Bazal and Peavy dropping the mitts. Right at center ice, Peavy tries to come over the top with some right hands. Bazal fights back, and they both go down quick. Both benches fired up after that early scrap. And if you weren't awake yet for Prowlers hockey, now you are. Jamie Bucell comes out to replace Connor Bazal, but take a look back at that fight again. It didn't last very long. Once they really got going. As we're back underway here in Indiana. We'll look back at that fight again in just a little bit. As the Prowlers dump the puck in deep, Bucell pulls it out and bounces it up high to Brian Parsons, who scored the game-winning goal last night. 3rd of the year, 2nd against the Sentinels. Luke James and Max Tortorella battle for it. Slides to Bucell and knocked off his stick, and up comes Ethan Esposito. Right wing side, Tomacek right on goal. Huber got knocked over. Prowler bench wants a penalty they won't get. Huber's water bottle is on the ice. Meanwhile, James with a sliding block. Tomacek trying to turn the corner, hands it off. Esposito slid it off the back wall. And Brett Lockhart goes across to James. Back to Parsons. Tried to slide ahead to Graham, fresh off the bench. But getting a stick in the way of that was Christopher Bormenis. Millette chips it up the boards and out. Clapped back in by Romeo Terrain. Favaro, left wing side to Lockney. Lockney moves in. Lockney on his backhand, twists, gives it to the top. Favaro D to D. Johnson looking, gave it back to Favaro. He lets it go, blocked by Zinchenko up high, and the Sentinels look for a counter. Bormenis floats it over to the far corner. Favaro and Zinchenko canceled out. Lockney sends it right in and heads off for a change as the Prowlers get 5 fresh bodies out there. Early stages in period 1, still scoreless, but we've already had our first fight of the night, of the afternoon, I should say. Puck lands behind the Prowler net, keeps on sliding. Dalton Anderson tried to cycle it low, but Brett Lockhart cut it off. Price ahead to Anderson. Gave it to DeCumbis. Sharp angle try. Missed on the short side. Oregon walks in and fires. That one tipped wide. Bauer slides it out. Lockhart for Oregon. Headman feed. kicked to his stick by DeCumbus. Tomacek skates into the puck. Steps around Bucell. Got it up to Esposito. Bounces it back to Tortorella. His pass blocked by Ray. And now the Prowlers looking for an attack. James looks like he got caught up high. Meanwhile, Bucell with a steal. Tried to slide it in front. Pavlov skates ahead. Bucell going after Tortorella right now. He was the one who got a stick or an elbow or something along those lines up high on James. Meanwhile, puck high up in the air next to Huber. He's trying to cover up, and finally he's able to. And then Bradburn knocked down, and a penalty coming up here against Port Huron. Looks like Bucell, the one heading to the box here. Indiana will go to its first power play. Let's take another look at that hit on Luke James. Oh yeah, Tortorella got the stick right in James's face there. So instead of the Prowlers on the man advantage, it's Indiana who gets the first power play of the game. Sentinels are 0 for 12 so far this week. 12th in the FPHL, 14.5% on the power play. Roughing the call against Bucell. They have to sort something out. Graham and Bormanis having a conversation. They're lined up right along the boards there. Finally, the puck is down, and it squirts past Colarusso and out. Colarusso off the back wall. Pavlov. Slowly ahead, left wing side, and that went between Zinchenko and Colarusso, and the Prowlers able to bang it back down deep. 20 seconds gone on the penalty to Bucell. Pavlov, right wing to Lias, drops the shoulder, heads to the net, and Huber able to stand his ground. Colarusso at the point. Bormanis. Back towards Colarusso. Has some space, walks in, gave it over. Pavlov's one-timer, stopped by Huber, and he lays out in a snow angel to get on top. And now Bormanis and Graham are again visor to visor. They're separated once again. This is Christian Bormanis' first weekend in the FPHL since the 2019-20 season. Both he and Graham are going to sit in the penalty boxes. This will not affect on-ice manpower. Minute 14 still left in the Sentinels power play. Sentinels man advantage has been threatening throughout this weekend. But as Coach Paulin has said a few times, great goaltending can cover up sins. And both Bailey Huber and Reed Cooper have provided that this weekend. Panovanov trying to slip it down low. Popped up in the air, settled down and fired, but off of Tomacek. Did get out of the zone, but Sentinels get to regroup. James muscled off by Esposito as James interrupted the play. Esposito puts it to an area. Stoichevsky chasing. Anderson beats him there. Wrapped around the boards. Esposito recollects. Loaded it down to Bauer. Back up to Esposito. Up high Panovanov. Fed it across. Tomacek. Back to Panovanov. Sent it in front. They score! Tiptoe from the slot. And it was only a matter of time for the Sentinels to score a power play goal. And it's Brendan Bauer's first as a pro. Good look as Bauer came out from behind the net. Didn't see who he was tied up with there. That was Johnson. And Bauer still able to get his stick down and redirect it home. Get his first pro goal and the Sentinels' first lead of the weekend. Paul Jean is having a conversation with Prowlers associate head coach Chris Paulin at the moment. Seems to have been a theme this weekend. The coaches having to talk to the referees after goals. Not sure why that might be. Maybe players not behaving themselves. This is Indiana's first lead of this weekend. The Prowlers have certainly played with fire as far as the Sentinels power play is concerned. It's burned them for the first time. Parsons lost it to Wolf. Fed it up top, Tortorella, Pavlov. Gave it down low. Zinchenko's turnaround try missed wide. Zinchenko grabs it again. Wolf twisting and turning. Parsons puts a shoulder into him, and now Bucell works up. Spinning away from Wolf. Bucell across to Brockway. Lead pass on the stick of Millette. Waiting for his team to finish coming off the bench. Lockney back to Favaro, and the Prowlers regroup. Johnson starts to skate up, gets the neutral zone, gets the red line, and just tosses the puck in deep. Tortorella plays it away from Anderson. His pass was behind Noah Bradburn, and it will go all the way down for an icing. Ivan Podovanov and Filip Tomacek have the assists on the Sentinels' first goal of the game. Brendan Bauer's first as a pro. Prowlers trailing early in Indiana.
This isn't working. LJ, pass me those flyers. No look behind the back pass. It's a whole play. LJ, come on. Gap up. Close the gap. Close the gap. What are we saying? This isn't working. We need a shift change. Let's bring in the professionals.
Hello, I'm home.
There he is.
What is happening?
Relax. We won. They brought back the snack wrap. Spicy or ranch?
Spicy.
Yeah, go. Yeah. Just one little bite.
Can you stop?
Oh, sorry.
Gather your crew. Snack Wrap is back.
Back here in Indiana, the Prowlers trailing the Indiana Sentinels for the first time this weekend by a score of 1-0. Will Wiggleman here with you on the PHP Network. Prowlers trying to close out this weekend with a sweep of the Sentinels. Prowlers swept the Topeka Scarecrows last week, a 3-3 in Topeka. This is the final game of a 6-game road stretch for Port Huron. It's also the first game of the day in the FPHL. Two more 4 o'clock games coming up later on. We'll tell you more about that in the intermission report, but I want to welcome in anyone who's just tuning in to get their Fed fix before either their teams play, whether that's later today or later this week, as Werber covers up the puck and gets a whistle. Prowlers won the game on Friday 5-0. Bailey Huber made 29 saves for his first professional shutout. And then Reed Cooper made 33 saves on Saturday night. Prowlers took that one by a final of 3-1. There's Organ floating it through. Werber made the stop on the deflected shot. Bucell lost an edge. Colarusso able to toss it ahead. Oregon flagging it down in his own end. Wheels around the net. Lost the puck. Oregon gets it back again. Lockhart up the boards. James bounced it out to Bucell. Ahead to Bazal. Up to an area. Oregon trying to wheel in. His team in the midst of a change. Oregon was muscled off by Colarusso, and Colarusso held him off for too long. And Richard Colarusso is heading to the penalty box for interference. So the Prowlers will get their first power play of the game. And Richard Colarusso, who has gotten tossed out for abuse of officials in each of the last 2 games, last night and Friday night, sits for 2 here. Off this face-off, Ponovanov plays it off the boards and sent all the way down. Luke James is taking Matt Graham's spot on this power play. I assume Graham is serving a 10-minute misconduct, although that has not come down my penalty sheet quite yet. Here's Johnson walking in and shooting, and Werber the save. So it's James, DeCumbis, Millette, Lockney, and Johnson. This first power play unit for the Prowlers that sticks out there. Tomacek asked to leave the face-off here. Tomacek with a couple of extra words for the linesman as he does. Jakob Wolf will take it instead against James. Puck is down. Tomacek plays it to himself off the boards and sends it all the way down. Johnson forced out by Wolf. Johnson wheels in, slams on the brakes. Let it down the wall. Millette gets there with terrain. DeCumbis up towards Millette. Let it back down and around. James takes it in. And now Lockney on the half wall. Prowlers trying to set up here. Lockney up to the point. Johnson D to D. Millette couldn't find a shooting lane. Lockney fends off Wolf. Goes back to the point. Johnson. Millette hands it off to Johnson. Over to Lockney. Softly on goal as he couldn't bring that pass cleanly. And Werber the save. Here's Millette. Johnson, one-timer, kicked out Werber, loose puck. It's in the blue paint and poked away and cleared. .23 seconds left on the Prowlers power play. Alex Ray steps in, but offside at the line. And a close call there for Port Huron trying to tie the game. Alex Johnson let go the one-timer, and it was loose there. Ray and Leas getting set for this face-off. Bucell back to Anderson. Favaro in the final seconds of his team's man advantage. Up to Bobby Price. Bucell at the blue line. Looking, walking, over to Favaro. Now to Ray. Back to 5-on-5 as Ray lost the handle. Bradburn slips it to Zinchenko. Zinchenko backpedaling. Centered. Pavlov tried to tap it back for Tortorella. That didn't work. Anderson all the way across. Prowlers were in the midst of a change, so that would have been dicey. And then looks like Favaro got clipped up high. He heads off. Sentinels, meanwhile, looking to escape their end. Tortorella got away from Anderson, but he iced the puck. And we will get a whistle and a face-off all the way down in the Sentinels' end. Looking for an edge in your game? Try Top Cheese Wax, the official wax of the Port Huron Prowlers. Use code Prowlers15 for 15% off at TopCheeseHockeyWax.com. Face off down in Indiana territory. Gazal grabs it and rips it over top of the net. Comes over to the near side. Zinchenko up to Stoyshevsky. Up to his left, Bauer fires it right in on Huber, who makes the glove save and hangs on. We'll get another face-off all the way down in Huber's end, just before the midway point of the period. Here's that chance earlier as Johnson's one-timer ended up squirting loose and Lucas Lockney just poked it through. Luke James couldn't get a touch on it either on the other side. And it's still a 1-0 Indiana lead. Anderson peels back, loaded it across. Lockhart pinching in, looking for an option. Play it around the boards. Ray cut off an outlet pass by Wolf. Lockhart back in. Slipped it down towards Price. Rimmed all the way around, got through Anderson. Ray trying to keep it in. It's pulled out by Colarusso. He skates ahead. Colarusso had his pocket picked by Anderson. Prowlers rushing up with the Sentinels in the midst of a change. Anderson ridden off the puck by Bradburn. He starts the other way. Bradburn took a hard hit from Lockney, handed it off to Tomacek. Toss back in. Johnson pokes at the puck. Favaro in there as well. Johnson takes it out. Up to his right to Lockney. Has Millette breaking. Gets it there. Millette to Bucell. Fought off by John Werber. Millette up to the top. Johnson steps around Bradburn. Couldn't slide it in front. Pavlov grabs the loose puck. And he drops it off to Peavy. Long pass. Ends up on Pavlov's stick. Has Lias going to the net. Pavlov sharp angle try. Ended up off the near side boards. And Favaro recollects. Price couldn't feed it down low. Favaro had Tortorella spin off his check. Favaro's without a stick. He's heading back towards the Prowler bench. Meanwhile, it's Zinchenko stepping over the Prowler blue line. Sent it on goal, sticked up out of play by Bailey Huber, and will take a timeout. 8:02 left to go in period one. Indiana still with a 1-0 lead here at Hamilton Community Ice Arena.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hi guys, we just stopped at Industrial Park Marathon to get some fuel and some snacks before the Prowlers game at McMorran.
Nice. Yeah, we just stopped by here at Industrial Park Marathon so I can get a Slurpee before the game.
Wait till after the game. If the Prowlers score 3 or more goals, Slurpees will be free.
Thanks for the info. I'm going to get my Slurpee after, but we'll see you at the Prowlers game.
See you at the game. Go Prowlers!
Back here in Indiana, still a 1-0 game in favor of the Sentinels. Will Wiggleman with you on the PHP Network. The early game on the 3-game FPHL slate. A couple of 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time games coming up later. The PD Ice Cats look to complete a 3-game sweep of the Blue Ridge Bobcats on the road. And the Twin City Thunderbirds, fresh off a home split with the Watertown Wolves, visit the Athens Rock Lobsters, who have yet to play this weekend. Prowlers trying to complete the sweep of the Sentinels. They play from behind as Alex Ray skates into the offensive zone. James off for Bazal. From straight on, that was blocked. James still battling for it. It's poked behind the net. Bazal left it for Lockhart at the point. Parsons hard off the back wall. Bazal flags it down. Back to Parsons. That wrister stopped by Werber. Left a juicy rebound. That was swept away from danger. Esposito. That's the red line, chips it deep. Zinchenko heading after it. Huber puts it behind the net for his defense. James has Bucell with him. Gave it there. Bucell got it deep. Pavlov sends it ahead. Tipped in by Dalton Anderson. Favaro up the boards. Bonovanov, Pavlov off the corner boards. Now it's Favaro. Gave it away, and Dalton Anderson with a turnaround shot. That was stopped and covered by Bailey Huber. Well, Huber comes up with a big save and keeps it a 1-0 game. A big save there again from Bailey Huber, I should say. Matt Graham and Christian Bormanis still serving their 10-minute misconducts in the penalty boxes. That's why Jamie Bucell has been taking some shifts with Millette and Lockney. Tossed in by Anderson. Pavlov sets it ahead, tipped along to Peavy. Right wing side, it's Wolf. On his backhand, floats it through, steered away by Huber. Bonovanov takes it in, sent it on goal. Huber the save, left the rebound. One-timer, Peavy, that wouldn't go. Huber keeps it out though. And a Sentinel is down in the crease right now. Bailey Huber knocked into again. That puck was on edge. And Huber didn't pick it up cleanly, couldn't control the rebound clean, and the Sentinels went in hard. Chris Paulin is upset over on the Prowler bench, feeling like maybe his goaltenders have not been protected very well by the men in stripes this weekend. Reed Cooper got knocked into once or twice last night as well, including once by Peavy that the Prowlers bench really thought should have been a penalty. Off this draw. Ray slipped it ahead. Galarusso gave it up to Dalton Anderson, sent back in by Bradburn. Brockway ahead to Bazal. Turns it in deep. Werber out to play it. Sent it back up the strong side. Bazal got back to the point. Brockway's shot deflected, dink it all the way through. Another drive. This one is in Werber's glove and he hangs on. And another meeting of the minds at the top of the blue paint. Everybody separated here. They'll head back to their respective benches. Face off to Werber's left. And Matt Graham out of the box, able to take it. Lockney cuts to the middle. His shot hits the back glass. And up comes Bormanis. Lockney puts the body into him as Bormanis got it deep. Tim Morgan had it knocked off his stick. Prowlers trying to clear, they cannot. Zinchenko slid it down low. Huber again run into. this time by Jonas Leas. Meanwhile, it's Millette on the other side. Millette all the way around the net. Bounce it up high. Oregon feeds it back down low again. Loose puck. Lockney down to Graham. Gave it back. Graham again. Tried to go up top. Bormanis picked it off. And Zinchenko dumps the puck into Prowler ice. Under 5 to play in period 1. Johnson over to Oregon. Lead pass. Anderson had his stick lifted. No icing. Price wins the race to the puck. Price turnaround shot. Werber made the save. And a quick whistle from the referee. And we will get our final timeout. 1-0 Indiana. So we step aside here on the PHP Network.
Yeah, I don't know about this one, fellas.
Boys, we don't overcome adversity by backing down. But yeah, I don't know about this one.
That's reassuring.
We're so screwed.
All right, boys. Here's the game plan. LJ, you start with bananas.
Wait, why do I have to do the bananas?
Because you're the softest on the team.
I don't want the bananas.
This thing is gonna melt. We gotta hurry up.
I won't do it.
Okay, both of you. I will do the bananas and the whipped cream. Fets, please continue.
Who's paying for this anyway?
I am. I just bought my tickets for the Prowlers game this weekend, and the Milk House gave me 25% off my order.
Fets, why'd you buy the tickets? You're literally on the team.
For the discount.
So are you all ready to give it a try?
Oh, we're ready.
It's true. Get 25% off your entire order at the Milk House, October through April. Simply show your ticket stubs at checkout and enjoy your discounted treat.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PH Prowlers, and Twitter at PH Prowlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
Back here in Indiana, Prowlers still trailing the Sentinels by a score of 1-0. Brendan Bowers, first pro goal, the only one so far. Battle of the Andersons in this face-off circle. Dalton Anderson for Indiana, Blake Anderson for Port Huron. And Dalton wins this battle as Ponavana bounces it around, but Bobby Price the first one on it. Price cycles it down to Anderson. Anderson taken in by Ponavanov, sent up the boards. Brockway pinches in to keep it deep. Colarusso got it up to Stoichevsky, off the wall to Bauer. On to Colarusso, the defenseman joining the rush. He got the puck deep. Huber keeps it moving around to Parsons. Pass didn't connect. Price came flying in on Peavy. Price ended up losing his stick. Bauer fires it all the way around. James chips it up the boards. Terrain couldn't keep it in. Here comes Bazal with Bucell. Bazal with a shot off a Sentinel stick and wide. Bucell collects. Tried to center, that didn't work as Wolf took it away. Tortorella's toss out was blocked down. James kept it in, only for a moment though. Peavy with a cross corner dump. Johnson up towards Bazal. Just did get it out and Tortorella brought it back in. We get an offsides call with 3:16 left in the Munger Physical Therapy first period. A face-off just outside of the Prowlers' end. Port Huron bench trying to see if it can find its first goal of this game. Oregon chases after the puck. Sent it up towards Millette. Lockney. Around behind the cage, watched by Zinchenko. Drops it off. Oregon looking ahead. And Graham tips the puck in. Pavlov stops up. Tried to poke it around. Millette to the top. Lockhart walks, shoots off the back wall. Came back in front. Werber able to seal off the post. Oregon, another shot. This one stopped by Werber. He's got it. Prowlers digging away. Zinchenko trying to get after Millette as Pavlov had Graham wrapped up. Everybody's separated, but the Prowlers continue to get chances. They've had some good opportunities, some pucks loose around the blue paint. Here's that last shot from Oregon. Werber got on top of the Prowlers in their pitchforking until the whistle. Anderson and Anderson again on the face-off. And Terrain jumped. And both Andersons asked to leave the face-offs dot. So will be Ray against Bauer instead. Tied up. Battled for. Nobody gets control. Finally comes out to Parsons. Sent all the way around. Ray wins the battle against Colarusso. Here's Anderson trying to get to the net. Esposito able to work it out of his own end. Prowlers dump it right back in. They touch up on the delayed offsides. Terrain, headman feed looking for Bauer. Bounce back by Parsons. Pavlov. Esposito taps it back to Colarusso. His pass slipped through everybody and off the back wall. No icing here as Parsons steps out from behind his net. Brockway off the wall and into Sentinels territory. Tomacek skates right back into the Prowlers' end. Wolf to the net, sticked away by Huber. Tomacek all the way out. Ponovanov steps around Bazal. Going down low. Wolf back up to the point. Pavlov straight on. Had to deal with Bucell, so he couldn't take the shot. Brockway finishes his man into the boards. Couple players collide. Pavlov over to Ponovanov. Floats it through. This one punched up in the air and stays in play. Bucell takes over. He ran into Tomacek. Brockway with skating room. Gets the red line, gets it deep in on Werber, who just steers it over behind the net. Ponovanov. Glove down. Millette trying to control it. Took a hit from Zinchenko. Graham out to Johnson. 38 seconds left in period one. As the puck slides in towards Werber. Pavlov ahead to Zinchenko. Bormanis slams on the brakes. Lias spinning away from Millette. Down and around it goes. Zinchenko back behind the net once again. 15 seconds left in period one. Millette trying to skate out. It's pinned right in front of the Prowler bench. Bormanis got knocked down. And they blow it dead with 4 seconds left in the opening frame, and getting a little more testy here. Somebody's going to the penalty box. We'll find out in a moment. But we do want you to stick around for the first intermission report right here on the PHP Network. We'll have our latest episode of Behind the Eyes. Everything going on behind the scenes with the Port Huron Prowlers back from their training camp days. Also look at some storylines from around the FPHL, the out-of-town scores, and much more. It's all coming up right here on the PHP Network. Face-off will be just in front of the Prowler bench. We'll get some 4-on-4 action here to end period one and get into period two. Off the drop, batted into the Prowler zone, and that will do it. The Sentinels, for the first time this weekend, have the lead, and they will take that lead into the locker room for the first intermission. Shots on goal in that period favored Indiana 11-9. Things have certainly heated up, though. Both teams getting into it throughout that opening frame. And we'll see if that continues as this game moves along. The Prowlers will need a comeback effort if they are to complete the sweep here this weekend. Once again, coming up on the intermission report right here on the PHP Network, we will go and check out our latest episode of the Prowlers Training Camp documentary, Behind the Eyes. We'll also take a look at some storylines from around the FPHL, out-of-town scores, and much more. It's all coming up right here on the PHP Network. Well, the Prowlers Coaches Show is back for the second week in a row at Wings Etc. as we will chat with Brett Lockhart and have a lot more fun, a lot more shenanigans, and all of that fun stuff. You won't want to miss it. The Prowlers Coaches Show is on March the 4th at 6:30 p.m. only at Wings Etc. You can also find it, though, here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. So be sure to come hang out with us at Wings Etc. this Wednesday for the Prowlers Coaches Show. It's 1-0 Sentinels through 20 minutes of play. We'll be right back here on the PHP Network.
Hockey is like a business. One missed pass can derail the perfect plan. Have Taft Consulting help you get your whole team on the same page. They have the expertise to help you follow through on all your goals. Find out how they can help you today by emailing taftconsulting@outlook.com.
What's more authentic than a Hungry Howie's Detroit-style pizza? Nothing. We're not playing around with the pizza of our birthplace. Thick crust, cheese to the edge, sauce on the top. Where it belongs. We've seen a lot of fakes out there. Not here. This is authentic Detroit-style pizza. Order yours now online for $12.99. We sauce the top and rep for the 313 everywhere. We do bold.
Hungry?
Howie's!
Congratulations on your engagement again, man. You know, you should get some life insurance.
I never really thought about that. How would I do that?
We can help you with that at Zach Egan State Farm. Congratulations on getting married, man. Have you gotten a house?
We just got one, actually, yeah.
Well, if you want, we can help you out with life insurance at Zach Egan State Farm to cover your mortgage. Is Olin a year old now?
He is.
Wow. Have you guys got life insurance set up on him yet?
I haven't even thought about it yet.
Oh.
How would I go about that?
Well, we can help you with that at Zach Egan State Farm. High five?
Yeah, hon, we should have gotten life insurance years ago.
Hey, Ken. We've actually got a policy for people your age at Zach Egan State Farm. Give us a call.
SMR Automotive Systems is part of the Motherson Group and a proud community sponsor of the Port Huron Prowlers. We are one of the largest manufacturers of rear-view mirrors for passenger vehicles in the world, with local plants in Port Huron and Marysville. We strive to support our local communities and have positions available for various abilities and experience. Find out more about who we are at smr-automotive.com.
Explore the 140 miles of stunning shoreline along Lake Huron, that is Michigan's Thumb Coast. Discover charming coastal towns, serene beaches, and endless outdoor adventures. Stay at cozy hotels, paddle through pristine blue waters, and hit the fairways along breathtaking views. Plan your perfect getaway at bluewater.org.
Back here on the PHP Network, first intermission, your Prowlers trailing Indiana here on a cozy Sunday afternoon, 1-0. Now let's take a look at the latest episode of Behind the Eyes, produced by our own Aiden Bricker, taking a look at near the end of training camp and leading up to that first matchup against the Danbury Hat-Tricks, right here on the PHP Network, the latest edition of Behind the Eyes.
You know, one thing I've learned just being in this coaching role the last couple of years, when the game's on the line and there's a lot of pressure and it's tight, you tend to put the guys on the ice who you trust the most. Not necessarily the most skilled or the best. The guys that are the most predictable, the guys that you know are confident that they can execute, that they're not going to go rogue, they're not going to fuck around. Like, those guys go play those extra minutes. So it's very important, especially for the new guys coming in here, that we understand the systems and structure that we're going to implement. We have already started to next week, so that you can, you know, be in those situations that are high leverage, right? That you can be trusted by Johnny, by Graham, by myself in those positions, right? And you have to work for it. So
I think coming together and like the end of the week, I think we're now a team. Like at first, you know, right, everyone's kind of individual, but everyone's bought in so far, really learning the system. Kind of stuck together through skating, really showed in the run today, like that second group. You guys, first group helped us out. I think that was massive. Just shows the selflessness in the room. I think that's a big part.
I've been really impressed by just the togetherness feel in this room. I think the more we can build on that, the closer we can get. Like, that's going to lead to a championship. The closest team in the league is going to win the championship. And if you're doing whatever you're willing to do, if you're willing to die for your brother next to you, you know, that's going to lead to really big things for this team. And I've just really felt a really good feeling in this locker room.
You know, this camp we've been bagged together at points, and like there's gonna be points in the year where you know we're gonna have trials, but like Reader said, when there's a sense of togetherness and you know that you know the guy to your left and your right is dialed in on his process, then there's gonna be a lot of good fruits that come from that.
there is nobody in the league that had this type of training camp. This is atypical for minor pro hockey at this level. Okay, but that's how we, as we said, that's how we build confidence by, you know, Reader talked about it being together. When you struggle together, there's a bond that can be formed that's very hard to break. And you guys did that, right? And I think the values that you guys live by and like supporting each other, even in that run test, it wasn't, you took the onus out of off of yourself and put it onto the team. How do we get these guys across the finish line? We had guys that failed the fucking set and then dug down deep and passed the next one. That's fucking gutty. But that's how you do it, because it's not about me passing or you passing, it's about us collectively working together to get everyone across the fucking line, right? And I think you guys live by that. I was very fucking impressed.
It is going to be a war, right? We battled and competed with each other all week, but that's nothing compared to what's going to happen next weekend, okay? I'm trying to scare anyone, but like it's going to be a fucking war out there, okay?
I don't know if you guys have seen this, but last year they got pretty offended when we stole their series and ended their season and planted the flag and their center ice logo. Like, they're ready for us. They're gonna want to take heads off. Like, you got to get ready for that. Like, this is old school. So if you're not ready for it, you better get ready.
I think this is a good start and a lot of mo to build on. We should have a lot of fucking fun tonight too. All right? Yeah.
anticipated game between the Hat-Tricks and the Prowlers ever since that playoff series ended last season, with the Prowlers taking down the Danbury Hat-Tricks 2-1, and then of course everything that happened afterwards with Ben Brockway planting the flag.
So we gotta get back to playoff intensity, run these motherfuckers out of their own building again, and go home with 6 points, and we start going, and we don't look back. Sure. Okay? Playoff intensity from day one until we win the cup. Okay?
Already unbuckling the buckets. Here we go. Here we go. It is about to go down. Swanson and Schlepp, the two biggest guys in the building, right at the scene of the crime, center ice at Danbury Ice Arena. Here we go. Schlepp trying to come over the top. Now Schlepp knocks Swanson's bucket off. They trade a couple rights, and Schlepp on a couple more on Swanson. Swanson comes back with a right, and those two are done. And now we'll see if Ben Brockway's turn is next.
We need to dictate how this game is played. All right, we do that by getting to the net. We gotta get to the crease. We gotta finish every hit. When F1's crashing, it's a nightmare to play against. All right, hey, hockey's the most personal thing in the world. This is personal. They made it personal all summer. Let's go here.
Swanson jumps Brockway off the draw. Brockway wanted no part of it, and he'll just go down. Couple players battle for it. Johnson lets it go. He scores! Lavelle Watson, one-timer, he scores! It up, sent it on. Save, they score! Turner shoots, he scores!
I just want to fucking say, that meeting we had at the hotel, we fucking stuck to everything we said. Hey, the odds fucking were stacked against us in that second half of the game. Penalties, bunch of bullshit. They stuck together. We fucking defended ourselves. That's what it takes. And Schlepper got us going. Sack!
Great job by our own Aiden Bricker producing Behind the Eyes. And there you saw the answer to last year's playoffs and Ben Brockway planting the flag. As always, we thank Aiden and congratulate him on such great work. 20 minutes gone in Columbus, Indiana. Prowlers trail 1-0. We'll take a break, come back. Will Wiggleman back live from Indiana as the Prowlers try to answer back from their 1-goal deficit right here on the PHP Network.
Welcome to the new era of Prowlers hockey. New owner, new store, new horn, fire, projectors on the ice. Yeah, this isn't your dad's McMorrin experience. This is Prowlers hockey. Get your tickets for the show now at phprowlers.com/tickets.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PH Prowlers, and Twitter at PH Prowlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
You're on Prowlers Hockey. It's presented by Proper Well Done. It's the shot. Port Huron Prowlers. Back here in Indiana, I hope I can give you Prowler fans or whoever you're a fan of, the viewers at home, the kind of goosebumps that latest episode of Behind the Eyes gave me just watching it. That was actually the first time I got a chance to see it as well. And unbelievable work again from our Aiden Bricker. As soon as we drop the final episode of that, just one more left to go, we will put the entire thing up on the PHP Network YouTube channel. Of course, we'll post about that on the Prowlers social media channel, so keep an eye out for that. 1-0 Sentinels. And before we get back to this one, take a look at our thumb rust control FPHL storyline. Start to look around the league. Couple of suspensions coming down from last night's games. Alex Storjahan got a 2-game suspension after a spearing match penalty against the Biloxi Breakers last night in the final minutes of a 7-3 win for the River Dragons. Jacob Hamilton was suspended 2 games for a lewd gesture / slur under that rule, which is something the Prowlers know a thing or two about, not because they have been doing it, but because they have been on the other side of it. Most recently against the Binghamton Black Bears, where the Bears got a couple of players suspended for that. But Hamilton suspended 2 games, and doing the math, he will now have to play every single other game for the Ice Cats the rest of the season to be eligible for the playoffs. The team that the Ice Cats are battling with for 4th place in the Continental, the Twin City Thunderbirds, got a little bit stronger as Chris Mott was activated, returning from SPHL Macon. So that's another guy to add to that Thunderbirds lineup. Luke Dobles was released as part of that transaction. So your FPHL storylines from Thumb Rust Control, keeping it around the FPHL. Take a look at our out-of-town scoreboard presented by Love After Hours Boutique and Boudoir. Couple more games coming up later on this afternoon in the FPHL. We start with the Battle of the Cats, the Ice Cats, and the Bobcats. Well, I guess the Cats that are not the Prowlers. A 4:05 game in Virginia as the Ice Cats look to complete a 3-game sweep of the Bobcats. Thunderbirds are in Athens to take on the Rock Lobsters. That one also a 4:05 p.m. start. Thunderbirds split with the Watertown Wolves earlier this weekend, and the Rock Lobsters have yet to play this weekend. So this will be their first and only action on this weekend. The out-of-town scoreboard presented by Love After Hours Boutique and Boudoir. Use code Prowlers for 15% off at Love After Hours. Teams getting set to hit the ice in just a few moments. We take a look at our Gunther Graphics game stats through 20 minutes of play, and plenty of penalties on both sides. Already 19 penalty minutes apiece. Sentinels won the shots battle 11-9, and they have the game's only goal. And that was a power play goal, although it was not listed as such on the stats here on the FPHL website. But that was indeed a power play goal for the Sentinels. But either way, it's still 1-0 Indiana, as the Prowlers are hitting the ice out of the locker room, trailing for the first time this weekend. And we'll see if they can find something here in the middle 20 minutes. Sentinels hitting the ice as well. Prowlers led out by Bailey Huber, who made 10 saves on 11 shots in that opening period. John Werber getting to his goal crease on the other side, camera right, after making 9 saves on 9 Prowler shots. See if there's any changes here from Port Huron. I don't expect too much, but we will get 4-on-4 action to begin this middle 20 with Nick Favaro and Romeo Terrain still in the penalty boxes for another minute and 56 seconds is what they put up on the board here. So the Prowlers start with Price, Millette, Parsons, and Lockhart. The Sentinels with Lias, Tortorella, Pavlov, and Zinchenko. Puck is down, and we're underway in the Hungry Howie's second period. Lockhart Lead pass onto Millette, waiting at the Indiana blue line. Tries to escape away from a couple of Sentinels, and Jonas Lias takes over the puck. Lockhart slips it to Price, and now Parsons back across to Lockhart. Takes the handoff, did Bobby Price, but he was checked by Zinchenko. Pavlov lost it to Parsons. Price drops it for Lockhart. And here comes Parsons with some room to skate. Indirect feed, finds Price again. Price left it in the corner for Graham. Chipped it up the wall for Johnson to skate into. Graham waiting for it. Graham in front, looking for Lockney coming off the bench. They couldn't connect. Brockway down to Lockney. Steps to the middle. Up top, Johnson. Brockway wrists it through. Punched away by Werber. Graham couldn't dangle by. And the Sentinels take back over. Bormanis heading after the puck in the near corner. Brockway keeps it in deep. 35 seconds left in the 4-on-4. Pavlov slides it for Bormanis. And now Tomacek spins the puck deep. Bormanis had to go off his stick. Pavlov hit hard by Lockney. And here comes Johnson with Graham. 2-on-2, although Graham now heading off for a change. Johnson by himself. Steps past Tomacek. And Alex Johnson able to draw a penalty here. Prowlers will go to the power play, hooking the call against the Sentinels. Likely Tomacek right there. You saw him get his stick caught up in Johnson's hands. This will be the second Prowlers power play of the game. It will start 4-on-3 and then will become 5-on-4 as soon as Favaro steps out of the penalty box. Prowlers having some trouble with who they're allowed to have on the ice right now. Right now, 4 forwards for Port Huron. Favaro still in the box for 8 more seconds. The rest of his unit is out there. They sent Johnson back to the bench as he tried to sneak on late. Important face-off here between Price and Peavy. And now Peavy asked to leave, and the defenseman Ivan Panovanov will take the draw against Bobby Price. Price won it back. Anderson over to Bucell. He walks, lets it go. Blocker save, Werber. Colarusso gets to it, slides it out. Jonas Lias fresh off the bench. Had his pocket picked by Blake Anderson. Play it to an area. Panovanov stepped up. Panovanov lost the puck on an outside move. And Favaro resets things. Price back to Favaro. 30 seconds gone on this Prowlers power play. Favaro looks ahead to Ray. Now Anderson. Left wing side, it's Price. Flying in around Colarusso. Sharp angle try stopped. And the net comes off. That happened a few times down on that end last night. And for the first time this afternoon, John Werber sees the net come off behind him. Port Huron switches up its unit. 45 seconds gone in the man advantage. Off this face-off, Millette backing up. His shot goes bar down off the ceiling after it was eaten up by a Sentinel stick out of play. Indiana will now get some fresh troops on the ice. Graham set to draw against Anderson. Both benches have been up and tapping their sticks throughout this game. You may have heard it here on the broadcast. And yet another player ejected from the faceoff. It'll be Wolf instead to draw against Graham, the 2 number 51s. Millette drags. Couldn't find a shooting lane. Johnson back to Millette. Whips it to Lockney. Millette once more. Johnson, one-timer swallowed up by Werber. So the Prowlers set up Alex Johnson for the big blast. And John Werber able to come up with the save. Outside the dot on that right wing circle. Lockney stops up at the blue line. Got it up top to Johnson. Millette walks, switches spots with Johnson and gives him the puck. Millette, quick shot stopped by Werber, and he hangs on. Quick catch and shoot from Reggie Millette straight away, and John Werber able to get in position to make the save. .33 seconds left on this Prowlers power play as Johnson tried to sweep it over to Millette. Didn't get much on it. Johnson gets it back. Walks in. Doesn't shoot. Johnson once more. Straight away. His shot gloved and held by Werber. Prowlers will switch up their power play unit here, with 17 seconds left in the man advantage, going back to that first unit. And now Blake Anderson asked to lead the face-off for Jamie Bucell, who wins it back, and Favaro sets up. Anderson up top, Favaro. Bucell's right in front. Anderson, Favaro, one-time blast, save, rebound. Wouldn't go for Price. And the penalty has expired. Floated ahead. Ray missed it. And that will be an icing against Fort here on just under 4 minutes gone in period 2. Prowlers unable to get themselves on the scoreboard on that power play. They got a good chance right at the end for Bobby Price. Orgeron's power play unit still out there. That means 4 forwards and 1 defenseman right now, as Ray takes the wrap Brett Lockhart is out there, so not the full power play unit as Bobby Price was able to change. Puck, Millette steps around Bormanis. Millette back to Lockhart. Favaro indirect pass, and now Millette steps in. Millette drags, shoots, and missed wide. Oregon tried to put it to the middle of the ice. Lockhart up to Graham. Now Lockney, left wing side. Works in, drags through. Lockney over to Millette. He was tied up by Bauer. Bonovanov ahead to Bauer. Fires it right around. Parsons pokes it towards the middle. And now Bobby Price banks it in Oregon's direction, got through him. Peavy right on goal, missed wide. Terrain right back through, and Graham starts up. And Bauer behind the play, back in Prowler territory, has lost his skate blade, trying to hop over to the bench. Meanwhile, the Prowlers playing 5-on-4 in the offensive zone. Indiana able to take over. Wolf pitchforks it out. Bauer got to the bench. And Price wheels ahead. Price stepping in. Nice move, but he couldn't pull it all the way through his legs. And now a step for Tomacek, working in on the backhand. And Huber got a piece. Terrain steps back down the wall, fired it wide. Zinchenko had it go past him. Terrain back deep into the corner. Tecumseh put it right back where it came from. Now Anderson. Cross towards Johnson. Skates into it, fires the puck in deep, and the Prowlers get a full change. Terrain, try to lead pass. It caroms to Esposito, but Favaro got back on him. Bucell blew a tire. Lockhart, indirect pass to Favaro. Sentinels back on the attack as they battle for it along the half wall. Bucell trying to dig it out. And finally he does. Got it over to Lockhart. Off to his right to Favaro. Prowlers start up. And Bucell able to push past a couple of Sentinels, but Ponovanov took it away. Ponovanov slows up. Sends it all the way around. Esposito had it poked off his stick. Reggie Millette. Stop and go move. Gets to the outside. Wires a shot wide. Prowlers in the midst of a change as Lockney tried to put it back on net. Chipped off of somebody in the Prowler bench, and we will take a timeout. Both teams threatening early in period 2. Still 1-0 Sentinels here in Indiana.
Welcome to the new era of Prowlers hockey. New owner.
Back here in Indiana, it's 1-0 Sentinels, 12:17 left to go in the Hungry Howie's second period. Prowlers have 8 goals so far this weekend. Still searching for their first one tonight, or today, I should say. Is the only real afternoon game the Prowlers have this season. Their earliest game besides this one, 5:05 Eastern Time, 4:05 Central in Topeka. That was part of a 3-3 earlier this season, back in November. Long lead pass, cut off by Favaro. Johnson skates into the puck. Walks in, left wing side, slipped it towards Millette. Loose puck grabbed by Tortorella. Tortorella trying to wheel in. Favaro didn't let him. Lockney for Millette. As Graham hustling to join him. Drop off, Favaro had his shot blocked. Tomacek fights his way over the blue line. Volp's pass cut off. Lockney couldn't handle the puck. Bormanis got up high on Johnson as he dumped it deep. Wrapped all the way around, and Johnson right back on it. Favaro, long lead pass towards Ray, fresh off the bench. Missed him though, and an icing called against Port Huron. Everett Thompson has a lot to say to Alex Johnson right now. as Johnson has to stick back out there after the icing. Ray won the face-off away from Jonas Lias. Zinchenko takes over the puck though. Cycled towards Esposito. Lias grabs it. Swung up high, Terrain walks, shoots, it's blocked by Bazal. Now Millette got it over to Bazal. He gets the red line and sends a dump in deep. Prowlers can complete their change. Lead pass for Lias didn't work. Parsons for Anderson. And now Bend Brockway. Werber out of his goal crease to play it. Swung it up the boards. Tipped up in the air. Parsons and Zinchenko battling for it. Here's Anderson, a shot! Shut down by Huber with the blocker. Dalton Anderson coming late down the backside. Stopped by Bailey Huber. It stays 1-0 as we approach the halfway point of this game. Huber rims it all the way around to Price. Colarusso with a shot, change direction, and Huber able to make the save. Parsons giving Brad Byrne a face wash. We'll take a timeout. 9:57 left in period number 2, and the Sentinels still with a 1-0 lead here in Indiana.
Hockey is like a business. One missed pass can derail the perfect plan. Have Taft Consulting help you get your whole team on the same page. They have the expertise to help you follow through on all your goals. Find out how they can help you today by emailing taftconsulting@outlook.com.
Explore 140 miles of stunning shoreline along Lake Huron in Michigan's Thumb Coast. Begin your adventure on a blanket of golden sand at one of our serene beaches. Connect with the historic atmosphere of our region's nautical influence and reconnect with friends under a blanket of stars. Plan your perfect getaway at bluewater.org.
Looking for a pregame meal? Zip Sauce Burger is located in the Industrial Park Marathon. Zip Sauce, the official burger of the Port Huron Prowlers. Back here in Indiana, the Prowlers trailing still by a score of 1-0. Brendan Bauer's first pro goal all the way back in period 1. The only tally so far. Quick shot right out the faceoff, swallowed up by Huber. We got a whistle and another faceoff. Colarusso shot over top of the net. They send it back in, and Johnson gives it over to Lockney. Working in, Lockney off to Millette. Rising shot, stopped by Werber, and it lands in the corner. Quick shot again by Millette. That one stopped as well. And the Sentinels clear it, but only as far as Alex Johnson. Millette wheels up high, drops it off for Johnson. Wrist shot blocked and up out of play. Prowlers make changes here ahead of this offensive zone faceoff. They have dominated the shots on goal department so far in this second period. It's 8-3 Port Huron in that category, but John Werber has stopped them all. Parsons wrists it through and missed wide through the traffic. Bucell bounce it up high. Lockhart lets it go, partially blocked. Bormanis trying to chip it up to Zinchenko. Bucell takes back over. Drops the shoulder, trying to fight his way through Zinchenko. Elias, head up, goes across the ice to Ponovanov. Dumped right in. Delayed offsides here against Indiana. Prowlers look for an exit. James right up the middle. Off to his left. Ray back in front. And it's just slipped through off the corner boards. Johnson. Favaro, D to D to Johnson. Favaro again. All the way up. Ponovanov took it away from Price. Here's Bauer. And now Favaro again. Anderson wheels in. Blake Anderson with a shot. He scores! Blake Anderson finally beats Werber, and the Prowlers have tied it. Just a long-range shot from Blake Anderson after he stepped over the blue line. He cut right, shot back to his left against the grain. And it just slipped under Werber's blocker. Blake Anderson stays hot, his 5th point of the weekend. We have a brand new game. Prowlers looking for more. As Terrain tried to push it up the boards, Lockney slid it back down deep. Graham in front looking for Millette, and Werber jumps on top. Another scrum ensuing over by John Werber. Millette and Terrain each have their sticks tied up with each other, and now they're both separated. Face-off coming back down at that end. And Romeo Terrain, or somebody, might be getting a penalty here. And it is Romeo Terrain. Unsportsmanlike conduct against Terrain has put the Prowlers on their 3rd power play of this game. And you'd think the Sentinels would be extra careful about things like that after Richard Colarusso got thrown out of both other games this weekend for jawing at the officials, but the warning was not heeded. And the Prowlers will get back on the man advantage, their 3rd of this night, of this afternoon. Is heeded the past tense of heed? I know I'm talking to myself right now, but if anyone has a thesaurus handy, let me know. Johnson spinning away from Zinchenko. Up top to Millette. Back to Johnson. Millette has his stick down straight away. Johnson decides to go deep to DeCumbis. Millette. Over to Lockney. Try to float pass. That was off of Zinchenko's stick. Huber comes all the way out near the blue line to play it up to Lockney. Graham streaking in. Lockney grabs the puck, cuts in and shoots. Stopped by Werber, and the rebound pushed away by Pavlov. Ray. Back up to Millette. 45 seconds left on the Prowlers' power play. Back down to Ray. Millette once more. Backpedals and shoots. His stick failed him. Millette with his skates trying to make a play on it. He did just enough to keep the Sentinels from clearing, and Millette may have gotten a stick up high here. Millette is heading slowly back to the Prowler bench as Price wheels in. Oh, I thought Reggie Millette stepped off the ice just in time, but he did not. So they say offside here against the Port Huron Prowlers. Here's Millette. See, his stick fails him on that shot. And there's a right to the face from Zinchenko. It's still a 5-on-4 man advantage for the Prowlers here for 17 seconds. They're trying to push Jamie Bucell and Richard Colarusso back right in front of the Prowler bench. Now Everett Thompson is having a word with Paul Jean. Everett Thompson is always very animated on that Indiana bench. You can see him there, and half the time I can't understand what he might be upset about. Finally, the puck is down. Nick Favaro trying to slide it ahead. Ray had to come back for it. Terrain is standing in the penalty box, ready to come out. Blake Anderson cycles it down to Price. Steps around Wolf. Price wheeling ahead, off to the right wing side. In front, Price stopped, rebound, and Werber kept it out. Whistles blow as the net came off. But a nice play between Anderson and Price resulted in a great scoring chance, but it stays 1-1. And Sentinels not allowed to change here, they're saying. As they were the ones that knocked the net off, so offensive zone faceoff for the Prowlers and possibly a group of Sentinels near the end of a long shift. Off the draw, James with a quick shot. Just goes wide. Werber may have gotten a piece. Behind the net, James to Decumbis. Spinning, tried to cut in front. Decumbis still with it. Down to James, pulls it out front, and a save by Werber as he hugged the post. Lockhart sends it through. That was blocked. Ivanov tosses it out in the direction of Bormanis. He and Oregon come together. Puck grabbed by Lockhart. Chips it out. Turnover! And Tomacek missed the net from right in tight. Huber may have gotten a piece of it. Decumbis trying to dangle through. Here's Bazol with a shot. And Werber got down to make the save. Johnson tried to send it back down deep. Dalton Anderson forced it out of the zone. Here comes Tomacek. Dangles. Tomacek to the net. And on the backhand, Huber made the stop. Anderson taken in by Lockney. Lockney was knocked down. Huber saved. Rebound poked just past the post. And Lucas Lockney recollects for Port Huron. 3-on-2 if the Prowlers hurry. Here's Lockney, left wing side. Missed the net. Favaro grabs it on the other side. Millette up top, covering for Favaro. Wrists it across to Nick Favaro. Favaro around the net. Sent it on, save Werber. Graham missed the rebound. And Bauer the other way had his pass impeded by a Prowler. Graham pulls it off the wall. In front, Lockney hit the crossbar. It's loose. They score! Reggie Millette cleans up the loose change and puts the Prowlers in front. Reggie Chance from the Prowlers faithful here. Complete chaos in front of John Werber. And it was Millette who finally was able to tap it home. That puck went high in the air, landed at the top of the blue paint. Millette right there, able to put home his 12th of the year. Now Price getting into it a little bit with Wolf. Those two will get a talking to from Paul Jean. And now Brian Parsons is lining up with Wolf. And they may go here. Actually, Ben Brockway will line up against Wolf. Paul Jean giving them the rules of engagement here. Let's see if we get one off this drop. And we do not. Just some stick battling. And the puck dumped back in by Brian Parsons. Price runs over his man in the corner. That was Stoychevsky. Ray pulls it off the boards. Over to Brockway. Down and around. Price swept it out in front, poked away by Werber. And here comes Terrain. Chipped into the Prowlers' end and up out of play. Under 3 to go. In period number 2, the Prowlers have taken a 2-1 lead. We'll be right back here on the PHP Network.
SMR Automotive Systems is part of the Motherson Group and a proud community sponsor of the Port Huron Prowlers. We are one of the largest manufacturers of rear-view mirrors for passenger vehicles in the world, with local plants in Port Huron and Marysville. We strive to support our local communities and have positions available for various abilities and experience. Find out more about who we are at smr-automotive.com.
What's more authentic than a Hungry Howie's Detroit-style pizza? Nothing. We're not playing around with the pizza of our birthplace. Thick crust, cheese to the edge, sauce on the top. Where it belongs. We've seen a lot of fakes out there. Not here. This is authentic Detroit-style pizza. Order yours now online for $12.99. We sauce the top and rep for the 313 everywhere. We do bold.
Hungry
Howie's.
Take the stress out of your vacation planning and get access to exclusive deals with Magical Vacation Planner by Ralph Lake. Email him at r.lake@magicalvacationplanner.com. Magical Vacation Planner is the exclusive road trip partner of the Port Huron Prowlers. We continue here in Indiana. Prowlers have turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead with a couple of goals in the second period. Blake Anderson and Reggie Millette the scorers. Matt Graham up high to Johnson, bounced over his stick. Under pressure, he's able to get it over to Lockhart. Back to Johnson. Kicked off of Graham's skate. Graham steps in, drops the shoulder, and ridden off by Peavy. Ormanis had to deal with Lockney. Colarusso poked it out to Esposito, working on Lockhart. Esposito had knocked away nicely by Brett Lockhart. Bucell has Bazal going to that, got it back, and a great save made by Werber. As the Prowlers jumped ahead on an odd man rush. That may have been a 2-on-0. Jamie Bucell had a good opportunity for his 4th goal in as many games. Bazal gave it back and Werber flashed the leather. Stopped it with the glove and another quick whistle there. Maybe the net came off a little bit and that's the reason for the whistle, but it stays 2-1, but again, a great opportunity for the Prowlers. Vladislav Pavlov looking for an option. Steps out to his left. Long lead pass. Moved ahead. Here comes Esposito. On his backhand. Twisted it in front. Save Huber on Dalton Anderson. Well, coming up on the second intermission report right here on the PHP Network, we'll get highlights and analysis from the first 40 minutes of play. Send it back to Brady Beaton in our PHP Network studios for that, as well as Keeley's Corner presented by Full Metal Mel, out-of-town scores, and much more. It's all coming up right here on the PHP Network. Well, this face-off, the attempt towards the net popped up in the air, and Huber under it like an outfielder, able to make the play. Leas and Price in on this face-off. Lockhart swings it around to the near side. Anderson got it ahead, but it's knocked back. Here's Tomacek with a shot that was blocked on the way through. Anderson, the first one on it on the near side corner. Up the wall. Anderson still chugging. Bauer trying to make a play on it. Had to deal with Lockhart, who stepped up. Johnson put it to an area for DeCumbas to chase. Anderson just swept it up the boards. One-timer, Tomacek kicked out by Huber. Anderson takes back over, gave it away. Tomacek had his stick lifted or poked at the last moment. Good job by Blake Anderson. Prowlers trying to escape their own end. Johnson bounces it around. Terrain grabs it back. His shot deflected in. Off of Tomacek in front as he was battling with Johnson. And it's tied back up. .28 seconds left in period 2. Prowlers got hemmed in. And a good bounce for the Sentinels as Terrain shot hit Tomacek for his first goal as a Sentinel. Tomacek signed on February the 20th, began the season in Poland. And now gets his first goal here in the Fed. This is his first pro season after some junior hockey the last couple of years. .28 seconds left in the second period of a 2-2 game. And now Romeo Terrain is heading to the penalty box. I thought that would be the case as he was screaming right at Alex Johnson. Terrain's actually being sent off the ice. Johnson was tied up with Tomacek laying on the ice, and Terrain came over and inches away from Alex Johnson's face, screamed at him. And now we get a fight. Ryan Parsons is going with Bogdan Zinchenko. Here we go at center. These two size each other up, and now they go. Zinchenko firing away right hands. Parsons coming back with the right hands of his own. Parsons uppercut. Another one over top. Parsons trying to rip Zinchenko's bucket off. Parsons, an uppercut. Overhand right. Parsons takes down Zinchenko. And as he got back to his skates, they break it up. That will get the fans going, supporting both sides. Both of them will get to the locker rooms first here for the second intermission. Now Ethan Esposito is on the wrong side of the red line for this face-off. Lockney having a disturbance with Bormanis. Ben Brockway loudly talking to Ethan Esposito, who's lined up for the face-off. And Ben Brockway's getting a penalty here, misconduct. So Brockway to the locker room here. Not sure if it's a game or a 10. Let's see if we can drop the puck here. "25 seconds still left in the second period in what's felt like the longest minute of hockey. And now Graham jumps Esposito off the draw, and those two will tussle. Graham firing left hands now with his right, and he gets Esposito down. Will this second period ever end? It remains to be seen. Now Chris Poland and Everett Thompson yelling at each other. There's penalty boxes and the scorer's table between them, but they're still finding a way to get at it. Everett Thompson is inviting Chris Poland to meet him behind the benches. Everett Thompson rattling the glass, trying to get after Chris Poland. Former teammates, Poland and Thompson, and now both of them yelling at the referees rather than each other. Do you think these teams dislike each other? I'll leave that up to you at home. Sentinels need one more player for this face-off. Blake Peavy steps out. Jamie Bucell will draw against Christopher Bormanis. And finally, we get the puck down without any gloves following. Wolf up the boards and out. Favaro D to D to Lockhart, quick up. Lockhart, Favaro, steps over the blue line, claps it in, and one more penalty with 1 second left. Lockhart tangled up with Wolf. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have 20 more minutes of regulation. Jakob Wolf and Brett Lockhart are being escorted off to their respective locker rooms. Bailey Huber looks very comfortable on his goal line right now, waiting for this period to end. There's Thompson yelling at the Prowler bench still. Face-off will be deep in Sentinels territory, so the Prowlers pull Bailey Huber for an extra attacker just for this final face-off. Price to take it. There's one back by Indiana, and that will do it, at least for the time on the clock. Tomacek got tangled up with, I believe that was Lockney. Prowlers escorted to their dressing room here as the Sentinels are directed down to the other end of the ice towards theirs. And now Romeo Terrain has come back from the locker room to yell down towards the Prowlers side. And if he gets caught, that could be not too good for him. Both teams seem to be heading down to the correct sides of the ice, to the doors. Referees imploring them to get back to their dressing rooms so we can get to the second intermission here in Indiana. In case you forgot about there being goals in this game, there's 2 on either side. And we'll head into the third period all square. But first, you'll want to stick around for the second intermission report right here on the PHP Network. Brady Beaton back in our PHP Network studios just got a lot more content to talk about in the last minute of game time and what has felt like probably 10 minutes at least of real time near the end of that middle frame. But we finally got here, as he'll have the highlights and analysis along with our next edition of Keeley's Corner, the out-of-town scores, and much more. All of that coming up on the second intermission report right here on the PHP Network. Folks, if you want to see this rivalry live for yourself, get your tickets for the Prowlers' next home game. That is this Friday. That's right, the next game for these two teams will be against each other. So no chance to lose the love and lose the hate as the Prowlers and Sentinels match up on March the 6th, 7:05 p.m. at McMorran Place. It's Mental Health Awareness Night, a very important night that the Prowlers have with St. Clair County Community Mental Health each year. So we're excited to welcome them in and have them do their thing, and so glad that they can help us out with spreading the word about mental health awareness. They'll have giveaways, trivia, and much more throughout the night. You can get your tickets at phprowlers.com/tickets by phone at 810-985-6166 or by scanning the QR code on your screen now. That's online, phprowlers.com/tickets, by phone at 810-985-6166 or scan the QR code on your screen now to experience the new McMorran Place show. Prowlers and Sentinels continuing to get after it and show the hate here in Indiana. Well, much more coming up for you next on the PHP Network.
Come on, guys, hop in. We're not getting in that thing. That thing's gross. Yeah, I wore my nice pants today. This thing could use a detail. Well, I don't know. Do you know anybody who could detail a boat? I think that guy could.
Hi, I'm Logan from Ballard's Detail. I can detail your boat.
From oxidized and faded to smooth and glossy, our professional compounding and waxing process will get your boat looking new again. Contact us today at 810-956-8318. Visit us on Facebook at Ballard's Detail LLC.
SMR Automotive Systems is part of the Motherson Group and a proud community sponsor of the Port Huron Prowlers. We are one of the largest manufacturers of rearview mirrors for passenger vehicles in the world, with local plants in Port Huron and Marysville. We strive to support our local communities and have positions available for various abilities and experience. Find out more about who we are at smr-automotive.com.
Hello, I'm home.
There he is.
What is happening? Relax. We won. They brought back the snack wrap. Spicy or ranch?
Spicy.
Go. Yeah. Just one little bite. Can you stop? Oh, sorry.
Gather your crew. Snack Wrap is back.
This isn't working. LJ, pass me those flyers. No look behind the back pass. It's a hope play. I'll take. Come on. Gap up. Close the gap. Close the gap. What are we saying? This isn't working. We need a shift change. Let's bring in the professionals.
Head over to the Birchwood Mall for your shopping and entertainment needs. Hop on the carousel, shoot some hoops, or visit some of their great stores such as Gerlach's Woodworks, where they specialize in handcrafted wooden decorations. Add to your fan cave a Prowlers theme creation. Upgrade your bathroom at Luxury Bath Mobility Remodelers. They can fully customize your bath or shower to fit your needs, and they also do flooring. For the sports fan in your life, pick up a unique gift from Pro Edge Sports. Jam-packed with all kinds of memorabilia. There's something for everyone. And it's not a trip to the mall without Auntie Anne's pretzels. Grab a freshly made full-size cup of pretzel bites and wash it down with some frozen lemonade. At the Birchwood Mall, you can find this and more. Visit them on 24th Ave in Fort Gratiot.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hi guys, we just stopped at Industrial Park Marathon to get some fuel and some snacks before the Prowlers game at McMorran.
Nice. Yeah, we just stopped by here at Industrial Park Marathon so I can get a Slurpee before the game.
Wait till after the game. If the Prowlers score 3 or more goals, Slurpees will be free.
Thanks for the info. I'm going to get my Slurpee after, but we'll see you at the Prowlers game.
See you at the game. Go Prowlers!
Yeah, I don't know about this one, fellas.
Boys, we don't overcome adversity by backing down. But yeah, I don't know about this one.
That's reassuring.
We're so screwed.
All right, boys. Here's the game plan. LJ, you start with bananas.
Wait, why do I have to do the bananas?
Because you're the softest on the team.
I don't want the bananas.
This thing is gonna melt. We gotta hurry up.
I won't do it.
Okay, both of you. I will do the bananas and the whipped cream. Fets, please continue.
Who's paying for this anyway?
I am. I just bought my tickets for the Prowlers game this weekend, and the Milk House gave me 25% off my order.
Fets, why'd you buy the tickets? You're literally on the team.
For the discount.
So are you all ready to give it a try?
Oh, we're ready.
It's true. Get 25% off your entire order at the Milk House, October through April. Simply show your ticket stubs at checkout and enjoy your discounted treat.
Back here on the PHP Network, after 2 periods, both sides, Indiana Port here on tied at 2. And it's been a very entertaining, very energetic game. Sometimes when you get 3 and 3s, that Sunday game can kind of be a sleepy, get us to the end of the weekend Sunday. I should have known better. I have been watching this Prowlers team all year long. Let's take a look at the highlights. And right off the rip, we start with some action. We've got the fight to start. And you know what? This set the tone for the whole game as drop the puck, drop the gloves. Port Huron and Indiana, battling here in the early going. Luke James takes a hard hit into the boards, and then Indiana would get on the board first. It was Brendan Bauer that made it 1-0 for Indiana. The first lead the Sentinels have had all weekend. Now here it is from Aiden Vision on the left side of the ice, and Bailey Huber gets beat the first time he had given up a goal in his second game this weekend. Prowlers looking to answer, but just couldn't quite find the back of the net. Still 1-0 at this point. Bailey Huber, though, still playing pretty darn good hockey. He's sprawling out all over the ice, a massive humanity in the crease. He's able to stay on it. And as Port Huron still looking to even it up, a couple chances all the way back in his old goal mouth, a couple of saves. As Bailey Huber again would keep it 1-0. This time on a breakaway, he stonewalls the Sentinels, and the Prowlers would take advantage of it. They get the first goal of the night for Port Huron, I should say the afternoon. Blake Anderson gets them on the board. Here's the other look at it as he that's a clean shot. Prowlers are feeling it. And then a little bit of a dirtier goal in the second one, an absolute mad scramble. And first there was a shot off the crossbar. Then Reggie Millette was there just to tap it in. And you see Reggie Millette standing out in front, and he just snuck that stick in and pushed it into the open goal mouth. Prowlers would take the 2-1 lead. And this is where the game would start to devolve a little bit. Another save, Jamie Bussell on the give and go. Thought he was going to have one. Indiana in the final minute, they score to make it 2-2. That was Tomaszek that made it his first in the Fed. as this tied it at 2, and little did we know we had about 10 real-world minutes of second period with 20 seconds on the clock. Brian Parsons chucking some fists back and forth. Brian Parsons got a few good shots in, and again, 16, he'll always be willing to answer the bell. And this was just the appetizer for this whole fight. Matt Graham and Esposito. Graham dropped the stick. He was anxious to get going, and then right away they tie up. Then this would be, again, just one of many instances. And it wouldn't be contained just to the ice. Chris Paulin and Everett Thompson, they are both fired up. And, Thompson very animated. Chris Paulin was animated, walked away, and he wasn't going to take everything. As Everett Thompson, he wanted his voice to be heard. He was certainly seen on top of metal melt. I do want to go over all the penalties. So pardon me, I am going to bring out the laptop to go over everything that happened in the final 2 minutes. I know they don't tell you it's great to just read, but this is everything that happened in the final 28 seconds in that second period. We started with Brian Parsons and Bogdan Zinchenko. They each got 5 for fighting. It happens. All right, they dropped the gloves. They were ready to go, and they went at it. Cool. Went to the locker room. I'm sure then, I'm guessing Brian Parsons did not have a TV or he didn't pull his phone out to see what was going on. And he was wondering what in the world was taking everybody so long to get back there with him, because before the puck drop again, it was Romeo Touraine that got an unsportsmanlike. You saw Ben Brockway, he got a misconduct for inciting an opponent. So that is where Ben Brockway is, both of those 10-minute misconduct. So they will be back about the midway point of the third period. And then Ethan Esposito and Matt Graham each picked up a fighting major. So all of that in 28 minutes, or 28 seconds, I should say, of hockey. Again, this is the third game that these two teams are going to play 5 in a row. Now, you play 3 and 3, it's going to get testy. And a lot of these matchups with Port Huron and Indiana have been backloaded. And this is the part of the season where guys are getting a little more ornery. Guys are, they're not quite to the playoff push. You're just getting out of kind of the dog days of winter here on the first day of March. So you're just starting to see maybe the light at the end of the tunnel. But it's a lot of ill will. I can't imagine that the 4 days that separate today and Friday are going to resolve much. I mean, it feels like there's fireworks every time these two teams play, and they don't get a break from each other. They come right back at it next weekend as the Prowlers looking to sweep this weekend before coming back home to Port Huron. 2-2 our score after 40 minutes of play. We'll take a break. Go back to Will Wiggleman in Columbus, Indiana for the third period right here on the PHP Network.
Welcome to the new era of Prowlers hockey. New owner, new store, new horn, fire, projectors on the ice. Yeah, this isn't your dad's McMorrin experience. This is Prowlers hockey. Get your tickets for the show now at phprowlers.com/tickets.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PHProwlers, and Twitter at PHProwlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
We're on Prowlers Hockey. It's presented by Crawford's Prowlers. It's a shot for on Prowlers. Back here in Indiana, boy, was that a lot for Brady Beaton to talk about. It's been a wild game so far between the Prowlers and the Sentinels, but it is tied up at 2 apiece heading into period number 3. These teams neck and neck on this Sunday afternoon. First, before we get to that third period, we'll take a look at what's ahead, and we start with the Prowlers' upcoming schedule as, again, this finishes up the 6-game road stretch for the Prowlers. A 3-3 in Topeka last weekend, 3-3 in Indiana this weekend. And they will get about 4 days off before seeing these Sentinels again at home. Mental Health Awareness Night, 7:05 p.m. on Friday, and St. Patrick's Day, 7:05 p.m. on Saturday. But in between that time, in case you haven't gotten enough Prowlers, we'll have our coaches show at Wings Etc., 6:30 p.m. on March the 4th. So be sure to come on out to Wings Etc., ask your questions, win some prizes, and much more. So that should be an exciting one as well. But again, Mental Health Awareness Night, talked a little bit about it on Friday with St. Clair County Community Mental Health. But then on Saturday, 7:05 p.m., St. Patrick's Day themed jerseys on display for the Prowlers. They'll be wearing those, as well as giving away 500 St. Patrick's Day themed pucks. First 500 fans in attendance will get their hands on a puck. So be sure to get there early, line up, tailgate, do what you got to do to get one of those awesome pucks. We'll be revealing those tomorrow along with the jersey. So stay locked into the Prowlers social media channels as well. But again, that is a 7:05 p.m. puck drop between the Prowlers and the Sentinels. And then next week, the Prowlers jump back on the road. They visit the Binghamton Black Bears on Friday in what will be a good test to see where this Prowlers group is. And then the Watertown Wolves on Saturday and the Sunday the 15th after that. So another 3-3 coming up for the Prowlers in their future. Of course, you'll be able to tune into those games right here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. They're just a few minutes away from period number 3 here in Indiana, as the Prowlers and the Sentinels both trying to wrap up this weekend on a high note before they meet again in Port Huron next week. Let's take a look at what's going on around the FPHL. Not much quite yet. We will look at our out-of-town scoreboard presented by Love After Hours Boutique and Boudoir. We're about half an hour away from any more Fed action dropping the puck. PD Ice Cats looking for a 3-game sweep of the Blue Ridge Bobcats this weekend, as the Ice Cats shut out the Bobcats 4-0 last night following a 5-2 win on Friday. That one a 4:05 p.m. game. And then the Twin City Thunderbirds, who have split with the Watertown Wolves at home this weekend, as they got an 8-6 win on Friday and then fell 3-2 last night. They visit the Athens Rock Lobsters, who are playing their first action this weekend. Of course, here it is 2-2 between the Prowlers and the Sentinels. Out-of-town scoreboard is presented by Love After Hours Boutique and Boudoir. Use code Prowlers for 15% off at Love After Hours. Turning our attention back to our game here at Hamilton Community Ice Arena, we update you with our Gunther Graphics game stats. Not too many power plays, but plenty of penalty minutes. These teams 106 combined penalty minutes, but just 4 total power plays. The Sentinels have scored on their only opportunity. Prowlers are 0 for 3 right now. And Port Huron leading the shots on goal category 28-20. Prowlers had 20 shots on net in the second period alone. But the important number is even, 2-2 between the Prowlers and the Sentinels. As you see, Port Huron hitting the ice. Sentinels also have hit the ice in what will not be the last game here in Indiana. There is still one more to be played, but date and time TBD, because it was a postponed game from all the way back in January the 25th, when a snowstorm caused the city of Columbus, Indiana, to completely shut down, and that prevented the game from being played. So that one will have to be rescheduled. Not too much time left in the season, and it will certainly be inconvenient for the Prowlers, but As Coach Paulin likes to say, this team likes adversity. Bailey Huber is in the goal crease down to camera right. 18 saves on 20 shots for Huber so far. Meanwhile, John Werber is in the goal crease to camera left. He's made 26 stops on 28 Prowler shots. Penalty boxes are pretty full here. I believe there's 3 on each side in the sin bins after the fights, and then Wolf and Lockhart getting their 2 and 10s at the end of that period as well. Actually 4 in each penalty box. You have the 2 fights, the 10-minute misconducts for Romeo Terrain and Ben Brockway, and then the 2 and 10s to Jakob Wolf and Brett Lockhart. Prowlers are down to 3 defensemen to start this third period, with Parsons, Brockway, and Lockhart in the box. So just Favaro, Johnson, and Organ available on the blue line. And no Austin Federley right now to move back to defense. Bobby Price is standing next to Nick Favaro over on the defensive end of the bench. We'll see if he gets out there for some defensive shifts. Prowlers have 5 forwards, or 7 skaters, I should say, on the bench right now. Sentinels with 7 as well. So 5 on the ice, 7 on the bench for both sides as we begin the CJ's third period here in Indiana. Bradburn dumps the puck in, goes all the way around. Oregon steps into Bormanis. They dig away. And whistles blow here. We get our first stoppage 24 seconds into period 3. Sentinels are down 3 forwards and a defenseman, by the way, while the Prowlers, as I mentioned, down 3 defensemen and a forward. Off this draw, Vinny DeCumbis pulls it ahead. DeCumbis spins back. Favaro goes D to D to Bobby Price, who is acting as a defenseman right now. Alex Ray is playing up front with Blake Anderson and Vinny DeCumbis. Huber wraps it around up the glass. Colarusso over to Pavlov. Sent it off the corner boards. Bauer tried a shot from the goal line that Huber was able to seal off. It will be 5 minutes before anybody, and a whistle, before anybody can step out of the penalty boxes. But the Prowlers will at least be down to 4 defensemen for half the period. But Parsons will step out once we get past the 15-minute mark and get a whistle. Off this draw, Oregon wraps it around to the far side, pulled in by James. James right up the middle, surrounded, lost the puck. Peavy turns it the other direction. Gave it away to Bazal. Indirect feed. Bucell off for James. Bucell heading towards the net. James sent it there. Popped up in the air off of Werber. Tortorella skating ahead. Able to muscle off Bazal. Here comes Tortorella. Dropping the shoulder all the way around. Tried to wrap it in front. And he hit DeCumbis. Tortorella across the red line to Ponovanov. Has a man going to the net. Ponovanov takes the shot. Stopped by Huber. And they score. It caromed in. It may be Noah Bradburn's first pro goal. But the Sentinels are back in front. Puck pinballed around near Bailey Huber, and Bradburn was able to slide it through. Bradburn all by himself right in front. And again, his first pro goal gives the Sentinels their second lead of the game. Prowlers playing from behind in the third. Their 5-game win streak in jeopardy. Sentinels have lost 5 in a row. Sentinels are looking for their 10th win of the season. As Price sends it up to Millette. Has Price going to the net. Millette drags it. Had it poked neatly off his stick by Pavlov. Organ. Over to Johnson. Gave it back. Up ahead, tipped in by Millette. Ponovanov collects it right in front of Werber. Colarusso chasing after the puck. Bazal beats him to it. Lias forced out by Bucell. Here comes Jonas Lias. Galloping ahead, off to the right. Pass back across, hit a stick. Ray couldn't settle, Decumbis couldn't settle the puck down. Ponovanov sidesteps a check from James. Here comes Decumbis. Has to deal with Sentinel streaming off the bench. Tortorella had it poked away by Decumbis. Looking towards James, kicked off of his stick. Anderson over to Price, walking in. Fake the shot and a sliding Ponovanov able to knock it off his stick out of the zone. Decumbis spinning. Got it to Anderson, played it to an area. James was knocked down. Nick Favaro. Saucer pass ahead to Blake Anderson. Anderson with a quick shot. Glove down by Werber. He looked back, but he has it. And we got a whistle and a face-off. It's in Werber's pad. 16:25 left to go in period 3. Blake Anderson shooting from about where he scored in that second period, except on the other end of the ice. Werber this time up to the challenge. Off the drop, Johnson settles it down at the line. Millette. Chased by Colarusso. Millette turns the corner at the top. Over to Johnson, the one-timer. Whistled wide. Kept in by Organ. His shot tipped up out of play. Prowlers getting pressure here as they try and tie the game right back up. Noah Bradburn's first pro goal came at the 140 mark, assisted by Ivan Ponovanov and Max Tortorella. Another assist for Ponovanov, his second of this game. Pumped around to the far side. Bucell and Lias tie up. Price for Favaro. Starts ahead. To his left, Anderson slips it towards Bucell, poked off his stick. Stoichevsky couldn't make a play on it. Tossed in. Here's Favaro. Now Bazal, a couple of players collided behind the play. Bucell and Stoichevsky. Meanwhile, here comes Price, trying to center for Anderson, but it landed on Tortorella's tape. Tomacek skates up with it. At the red line, tosses it in and heads after it himself. Organ swept it around behind the net. Here comes Ray. Ray forced to spin back, tied up. Puck popped up in the air, settled down by Millette. At the next whistle, we will see two players on either side exit the penalty boxes. Millette couldn't make a move around Dalton Anderson. Organ, lead pass, goes all the way down, and icing called here against the Prowlers. We'll take a timeout. Indiana back in front with a 3-2 lead as the second Davenport ACHA collegiate signing gets his first pro goal.
Hi, what can I get for you?
I'd like some McMorrin fries, please.
All right, that's going to be $4. Okay.
She shoots, she scores with the new Prowlers debit card.
Don't you have somewhere to be? The game's on.
Get your Prowlers debit card only at Flagship Community Federal Credit Union, located on Lapeer Road in Port Huron. Flagship Federal Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA. Well, the Prowlers are on the ice, so grab a glass of Proper 12 Irish whiskey. Proper 12, the official shot of the Port Huron Prowlers. Please drink responsibly. Prowlers and Sentinels locked in a tight battle. Indiana has a 3-2 lead right now. Still in the early stages of the final frame of regulation. Prowlers break huddle from their bench. Get ready for a puck drop between Dalton Anderson and Alex Ray. Off the draw, shot towards the net by Bradburn, rises over top. Millette just backhands it out. Colarusso settles it down. Pavlov floats it ahead. Tapped back by Oregon. Now Oregon has it. Back to Favaro. Rimmed all the way around. Graham gives it to Millette. Millette sidesteps a couple of Sentinels. Pass to Favaro didn't work. Pavlov just blindly threw it ahead. Bucell picked it off, but he couldn't skate straight in because Graham was still in the offensive zone. Favaro up to Graham. Gets in. Gave it over to Millette. Curlin drag shot. Caught the glass. Parsons waiting for it. Taps it back deep. Bucell for Graham. Trying to fight off Peavy. Graham gets back on it. Graham finally pushed off the puck. Here's Pavlov. Gets to the red line. Slowly able to slide it in deep. Pavlov and Favaro get there together. Peavy and Parsons on that puck. Now it's Favaro. Zinchenko finishes his check on a Prowler, and then Zinchenko knocked down Anderson behind the play. Meanwhile, it's James the other way. His shot sticked up out of play by John Werber. We may be getting some penalties here, I'm not sure. Looks like no penalties. And we'll stay 5-on-5. Just under 7 minutes gone in period 3. Graham and Leas on the face-off. Leas able to work it back to Tortorella. Tossed ahead. Graham got taken out. Puck clangs off the glass behind Huber and then hits the ceiling. 7:05 gone in the CJ's third period. Prowlers still trailing by a goal. Still a couple of players in each penalty box as well. Brett Lockhart and Ben Brockway for the Prowlers. Romeo Terrain and Jakob Wolf for the Sentinels. And they test the ceiling again. Dalton Anderson and Matt Graham will try another face-off. Quick shot towards the net. This time hits the glass and stays in play. Colarusso Back down and around. Poked over to the near side. Lucas Lockney scoops it up. Off to Graham. Has Millette breaking. Sends it there. Here comes Millette to the backhand, and Werber makes the save. Werber didn't let Millette pull it all the way to his backhand. As he jammed him up, here's Lockney. Over to Millette. One-timer fought off by Werber. Colarusso just clears it out. Puck rolling all the way down. And it will not get there quick enough for an icing. Quick up from Parsons to Millette. Comes right back to Brian Parsons. Favoro, rink-wide feed. Interrupted by Stoychevsky's stick. Ponovanov, fanned on the pass. Loose puck, Ponovanov just able to chip it out of his own end. Parsons, got it tipped in. Tortorella swings around his cage, high flip, and that hit the ceiling. And we'll get a whistle and another face-off here. Another one deep in Indiana territory. 11:38 left in regulation. Prowlers trail by a goal. And Vinny DeCumbis will have his line out there to try and get something going. Ponovanov trying to get away from Blake Anderson. Got it up to Bormanis, who just tossed the puck out. DeCumbis couldn't stick handle through a few Sentinels. Got it off to Price though. Werber plays it back up the near side. DeCumbis right towards the net, and Leas poked it away. I think Werber would have been able to get back in time. Johnson pinching in. Pitchforks the puck back deep. Tortorella. Now DeCumbis in front. Couple of whacks, and Werber with a kick save with his right pad. DeCumbis in front looking for Price. Couldn't load it up. Johnson unable to keep the puck in. Sentinels have iced the puck. We'll get a face-off back down in Indiana territory as they will not be allowed to change. Face-off to Werber's right. Ray and Leas in there together. Long lead pass. Bormanis. Crunched by a couple of Prowlers. Zinchenko. Colarusso. Bounce it behind to Pavlov. Zinchenko, left wing side. Try to send it through. That hit the ceiling. And we'll get another whistle and another face-off. Now Terrain and Brockway able to leave their penalty boxes. So now it's just down to Wolf and Lockhart. Pavlov shot deflects wide. Hard carom. Parsons slides it up to Lockney. Got it through. Pavlov bounced off the boards, kept in by Graham. Graham, Lockney takes the shot, stopped by Werber, and he leaves no rebound. But he does have a crowd gathering in front. Lockney's tied up with Bradburn. Those two release. The busy jobs tonight being done by referees Paul Jean and Chris Rowe, the linesmen Brian Thurnauer and Jeremy McWalter. Plenty of penalty minutes that they've had to sift through, as well as other gatherings. A tick before the midway point of period 3. Prowlers trail by a goal. They're up on shots 8-4 in the frame. They have the last 7. Terrain. And on the first attempt, did get it up to his intended target, but the ensuing pass was behind Anderson. Johnson retreats up to Favaro. Favaro wheels ahead at the red line, dumps it in. Terrain bangs it around the boards. Johnson kept it in at the line. Down to DeCumbus in front, and couldn't find Price, who was streaking down the backside. Price out-muscled his man. Sentinels bench wants a penalty. Stoichevsky spun it to an area. Johnson turning away from his man. And now Alex Johnson with skating room. Johnson wheels in, but he lost the puck. Prowlers in the midst of a change, so they had Ray back there to recollect. Then Brian Parsons gave it around to Organ. Bucell over to Parsons. Organ looking towards Ray, had it knocked off his stick, and the Prowlers start from scratch. Parsons this time skates through, tosses the puck in deep, sends Bucell after it along with Tortorella. Those two cancel out. To a side scrum. Zinchenko swept it ahead to Bormanis. James came back to make a play on him. Organ up to Ray. He couldn't bring in the pass cleanly. And Organ threw his shoulder into Zinchenko. James dangled away from Peavy. Couple of former Elmira River Sharks there, Luke James and Blake Peavy. Headman feed for Bucell. Now Graham walking in, off the lock, he claps the drive. That Werburn's able to glove down. Under 8 to go in regulation. Sentinels still holding a 1-goal lead. We'll be back here on the PHP Network.
Discover everything banking should be with Advia Credit Union, like earning real financial advantages. You can earn up to $1,000 with your new account. Plus, save an average of nearly $4,000 in interest when refinancing. Get started with a low-rate credit card balance transfer. Enjoy easy access to your money anytime, anywhere. Make the switch today at adviacu.org/real people. Advia Credit Union. Real advantages for real people.
CJ's Bar and Grill keeps the kitchen open until 1 a.m. and gives you a 10% discount for wearing Prowlers gear on a home game day. It's the perfect place for all of your post-game celebrations. Prowlers will need to make a comeback here if they are to celebrate this post-game. They trail the Sentinels 3-2. And they have won 5 straight games against Indiana, trying to make it 6. Off this face-off, Lockney slid it down towards Johnson, and that was interrupted by a skate. Favaro up to Millette, tips it back in. Ponovanov got it over to Pavlov. Up to Peavy off his stick. Shot on goal, stopped by Huber, laid there for a moment before the Prowlers cleared out. Here they come. Lockney tried to sweep it towards the net. That went high and wide. Bauer sends it in deep and may have hit somebody on the Prowler bench. And they will say the faceoff will go inside the Prowler zone. Prowlers up on shots right now, 38-25. But John Werber has been fantastic in his first action of the weekend. I believe Blake Anderson is being asked to leave the faceoff here. He is. Bobby Price will take it instead. Won it away from Leas. Oregon up to Anderson. Looking towards Price, just out of his reach. Zinchenko comes back for the puck. He starts to wheel. Price over to Lockhart. Back to Oregon. Lockhart once more. Wires it around. Anderson got it back deep. Colarusso flings it up the wall. Oregon on goal, blocked by Terrain. Price missed a check on Colarusso. Terrain tossed it ahead. Price did keep it in for a moment. Bormanis puts it into Port Huron territory. And Zinchenko hard at work, able to win that puck. Anderson rubbed him off along the wall, and now the Sentinels get it back down low once again. Lockhart trying to keep it moving along the wall. Tortorella sidesteps a check. Lockhart up to Blake Anderson. Off to Oregon. Prowlers making a change here. Less than 6 minutes left to go in regulation. Port Huron looking for a goal. Tortorella right up the wall. James takes over. Brockway back down low. Bazal has it. Up to the line. Brockway with a shot stopped by Werber. Rebound was there for a moment. Werber able to gather it back in and get a whistle and a face-off. There's the shot from Brockway through lots of traffic. Puck was there just momentarily, but nobody within range for the Prowlers as Werber was able to cover up. Off this draw, Lockney pushes it back. Millette backpedaling with a shot punched out by Werber. Wolf took a check from, well, actually threw a check on Paul Jean, the referee, as he tried to turn. Here's Favaro up ahead towards Lockney. Taken back by the Sentinels. Leas drops the shoulder. Spun, got it up top. Colarusso in front. The shot by Bauer. Shut down by Huber. And out comes Graham. Tried to go over to Millette, but didn't matter because the Prowlers were offside. We'll take our final timeout. Port Huron sees time ticking away. They continue to trail by a goal here in Indiana.
Discover 1195 Gastropub in Marysville. Burgers, pizzas, apps, and pub favorites like filet mignon and grilled salmon. Open Monday to Friday, 4 to 9 p.m., weekends 12 to 9 p.m. Join us for happy hour, Monday to Thursday. Enjoy half-off bottles of wine every Wednesday, and don't miss Thirsty Thursday with $4 draft beers. Great food, cold drinks, good times. That's 1195 Gastro Pub.
It's time to wake up on the sunrise side of Michigan. Wake up to beautiful beaches. Wake up to vibrant urban landscapes. Wake up to unique eats. Wake up to charming coastal towns. Wake up to cozy entertainment. Wake up to Michigan's Thumb Coast. Plan your perfect wake-up call using bluewater.org.
Well, tune into our next broadcast. That will be Friday, March the 6th, when, yes, the Prowlers play the Sentinels once again. This one will be at McMorran Place, though, so make it out to the game and see it live if you can. If not, We'll have it for you here on the PHP Network. Puck drop scheduled for 7:05 p.m. and the pregame show starts at 6:50. Prowlers still with work to do. There to get a win here. Play continues with Ponovanov dumping it in. Huber leaves it behind the net for Brockway. Ponovanov, high flip, and he hit one of those fancy lights they have here, which turns on right on cue. We got a face-off outside of the Prowler end, somewhere in neutral ice. Looks like the center ice dot. Dalton Anderson and Matt Graham. And on this face-off, Graham wins it back. Lockhart for Johnson. Return feed. Lockhart up towards Graham, who tips it in. Johnson goes back to Lockhart. Johnson once more. His stick broke. That's happened a few times to Alex Johnson this weekend. According to Reed Cooper standing next to me, that might be his third of the weekend. Terrain tossed ahead, and Bauer just gets it out, gloved down by Lockhart. Johnson with a fresh twig. Got it towards Graham. Johnson back on it. Millette couldn't work in. Prowlers have to touch up here, delayed offsides. Now Price can wheel into the offensive zone. Here comes Price with a nice move. Rubbed off by Pavlov. And the puck tossed out of play. Potential delay of game penalty or no? They say no. It did hit the glass on the way out, according to Paul Jean, the referee. .336 left to go. We'll keep an eye on Bailey Huber. See if and when the Prowlers decide to pull him. Off the draw. Shot on goal, sticked away by Werber. Anderson tied up with Leas behind the net. Price tried to put it in front. Came back to him. As he got back to his skates, Parsons pinches in to keep it alive. Tortorella just fires it out all the way down. This is an icing against Indiana. So the face-off will come all the way back down to John Werber's end, to his left. Prowlers going with a line of Graham, Millette, and James here on this shift. Ponovanov throws on the brakes, chased out by Graham. Johnson to Lockhart, who gave it right back. Ahead to James, who tips the puck in. Tortorella wraps it all the way around. Stoichevsky waiting for it on the other side. Trying to skate out. He's still got it. Tossed it in on Huber, and that took a bounce right in front of Bailey Huber. And as we've seen this season in Watertown, the Prowlers on the right end of one of those bounces going awry for the goaltender. Bailey Huber was careful there. Johnson up to Millette. Drops it back off for Bobby Price. Prowlers with 4 forwards on the ice right now, and 1 defenseman. That's Favaro, has the puck. Favaro wheeling in. Favaro with a shot blocked by Pavlov. Favaro gets back to it, looking in front, swept it there. Shot goes wide. Lockney tried to put it right back to the blue paint. Puck still loose, and it hits the ceiling. With a tick under 2 minutes left to go. Prowlers continuing to threaten, and John Werber currently still standing tall in his goal. Bailey Huber is still in his net, and the Prowlers Look like they may be calling their timeout. Actually, no, they were just sending Vinny DeCumbis back to the bench. And now the Prowlers call their timeout. This has been a back-and-forth game all afternoon. Sentinels had a 1-0 lead on Brendan Bauer's first pro goal. That came very early in the game, just 4:46 in. The Prowlers got 2 in under 4 minutes late in the second from Blake Anderson and Reggie Millette. Philip Tomacek tied things right back up with under 30 seconds to go in the middle frame. And then 1:40 into the third with 4 players aside in the penalty boxes, but still 5-on-5 hockey. Prowlers were down to 3 defensemen, and Noah Bradburn was able to slide it through Bailey Huber for his first pro goal. 2 of the 3 Davenport collegiate signings getting their first pro goals tonight for the Sentinels. And that is where we stand. Huber is on the bench. Extra attacker out for the Prowlers. They have Price, Graham, Johnson, Lockhart, Millette, and Lockney. Empty net down at the other end. Tied up on the face-off. Bonovanov gets to it. Pins it. They try and dig it out. Graham gets it over to Millette. Up to Lockhart. Johnson swings it down deep. Price keeps it moving for Graham. In front looking for Lockney. Ended up back below the goal line. Tomacek tosses it into the roof. Out of play. I don't believe that's a... Is that delay of game? I don't think so. I don't think hitting the roof from your defensive zone is delay of game like it would be if you threw it over the glass. I guess if that was a penalty, that would happen a lot here in Indiana. Off this space, sent all the way down towards the empty net, missed wide. And Lockhart back for it. 89 ticks left in regulation. Prowlers still with the empty cage. Graham and Leas in on the face-off. Nick Favaro has stepped out to replace Brett Lockhart. Johnson sent it down the boards. Bonovanov couldn't handle it. Graham tied up with Pavlov. Millette bounced it to Favaro. Wrist shot gloved and held by Werber. .114 to go. Prowlers still with that same 6 out there. Peavy and Graham on the new most important face-off of the game. One back by Peavy, clapped around by Pavlov, and it escapes the zone. No icing. Favaro starts up left wing side to Price. Tried to chip it ahead, taken away by Peavy, and Johnson playing defense, able to block the attempt towards the net. Under a minute to go as Lockney fires it in. Werber just bounced it off the boards. Graham back to Millette. Prowlers trying to set up. Favaro kept it in, got it over to Johnson, down to Price. Price looking in front, that went off a stick. Favaro claps it down low to Graham. Back up high, Favaro drags and shoots and just missed. Johnson pinches in, puck pops up in the air, settled down by Price, on goal save, rebound there. Lockney sent it back to Favaro, 15 seconds left. Favaro off the back wall, Lockney, Millette, up to Johnson, wrist shot, and the save made by Werber. Pavlov couldn't get it out, and that one wouldn't go. It comes out, and the Indiana Sentinels get the win tonight. Their losing streak has come to an end. Prowlers unable to secure the sweep tonight. And the Sentinels pick up their 10th win of the season. John Werber, 42 saves tonight, or this afternoon. A big win for Indiana. As the Sentinels salute their fans here. This series, though, not over, because these teams will play back in Port Huron. Coming up this Friday, March the 6th, 7:05 p.m. puck drop, 6:50 pregame. That's all coming up here on the PHP Network, but if you can make it out to McMorran, make sure to come out loud and proud and make sure both teams can hear you out there. That one should be a great game as well, and should be testy if we learned anything from this weekend's games. Don't go anywhere, because we still have much more to come on the post-game show here on the PHP Network. We'll send it back to Brady Beaton in our PHP Network studio for highlights and analysis, get the final game stats and locker room reaction. I'm sure Prowlers Associate Head Coach Chris Paulin will have a lot to say. I will certainly ask him about his goaltenders getting run over throughout the weekend, as well as what he was chatting about with Elias Thompson. But the fans celebrate here in Indiana. Players break their huddle, the prayer circle at neutral ice. John Werber, certainly the star of the show today. 42 saves on 44 shots in his only action of the weekend, after the Prowlers put up 8 goals in 2 games on Chris Kerr, who honestly had a pretty good game yesterday. But the Sentinels get 2 first pro goals from some of their new signings, and they pick up the victory here this afternoon. We will send it back to our PHP Network studios, and Brady Beaton postgame show coming at you next.
Are you sick of asking somebody else to live your own life? I'm Josh with the Franchise Guys. If you're ready to quit your job or build your empire, I'll help you trim down my 800 franchise brand partnerships down to a few that fit you, fit your goals, and fit your budget. With options from senior care to airplane detailing, there's an opportunity for you. Owning a franchise can have up to a 90% success rate. That's better than job security. With the systems and support of a franchise, you won't be making all those costly mistakes as you would if you started your own business from scratch. And with options as low as $6,000 to get your own job-replacing business, there's no better option for you than to book a free call with me and my team. Visit GoFranchiseGuys.com. Stop dreaming about a better life and go live it.
Come party where the Prowlers party at Hamlin Pub. With 10 locations including locally in St. Clair, Richmond, and Chesterfield. Hamlin Pub is the best place for your hangout. Watch the Prowlers or your other favorite sports teams on their mini screens throughout the pub and get your weekend going with live entertainment every Friday and Saturday. Come party like the Prowlers at Hamlin Pub.
Yeah, I don't know about this one, fellas.
Boys, we don't overcome adversity by backing down. But yeah, I don't know about this one.
That's reassuring.
We're so screwed.
All right, boys. Here's a game plan. LJ, you start with bananas. B-Way.
Wait, why do I have to do the bananas?
Because you're the softest on the team.
I don't want the bananas.
This thing is gonna melt. We gotta hurry up.
I won't do it.
Okay, both of you. I will do the bananas and the whipped cream. Fets, please continue.
Who's paying for this anyway?
I am. I just bought my tickets for the Prowlers game this weekend, and the Milk House gave me 25% off my order.
Fets, why'd you buy the tickets? You're literally on the team.
For the discount.
So are you all ready to give it a try?
Oh, we're ready.
It's true. Get 25% off your entire order at the Milk House, October through April. Simply show your ticket stubs at checkout and enjoy your discounted treat.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hi guys, we just stopped at Industrial Park Marathon to get some fuel and some snacks before the Prowlers game at McMorran.
Nice. Yeah, we just stopped by here at Industrial Park Marathon so I can get a Slurpee before the game.
Wait till after the game. If the Prowlers score 3 or more goals, Slurpees will be free.
Thanks for the info. I'm going to get my Slurpee after, but we'll see you at the Prowlers game.
See you at the game. Go Prowlers!
Back here on the PHP Network, your Prowlers fall on a Sunday afternoon contest to Indiana 3-2 despite fireworks started early in this game. Right off of puck drop, we would get a fight really as the game just began. The first one being Connor Bazal and Blake Peavy going at it. First of many fights we'd have in this game. And then you get the action on the ice. Some scary hit on Luke James. And after that, Indiana would strike first, making it 1-0. Indiana on top. As here's another look at that first goal. Prowlers trying to answer the bell, but John Werber all day was on point in net for the Sentinels. They did steal this game. Werber did give up 2 goals, made 41 saves in the victory, and you're seeing a few of them here early on in the first period. As Bailey Huber, however, had to make some strong saves himself that kept the Prowlers in this one in the early going. Prowlers would eventually get on the board. First goal scored, Blake Anderson put the Prowlers on the mark. You see the clean shot right from the right wing circle. And then the Prowlers would answer that up with Reggie Millette. This one just a few minutes later in the second period. As Millette was just in the crease ready to go. Found the dirty area, was able to punch it home from out in front. So 2-1 Port Huron. Looked like the Prowlers were going to keep the momentum. But Werber he kept denying the Prowlers that big third goal. And eventually it was Philip Tomaszek getting the equalizer with 28 seconds left to go in the second period. And that would cause a chain reaction of 2 fights, the pair of game misconducts, as they were going back and forth. First off, it was Brian Parsons and Bodan Zinchenko. After this, Ben Brockway and Romeo Terrain would each pick up 10-minute misconducts for unsportsmanlike and inciting opponent, respectively. Matt Graham, the coach, dropping the gloves with Ethan Esposito. right off the draw. Graham very eager to get this one going, but they really got it all out of their system at the end of the second period. As in the third, there wasn't much in the way of shenanigans. I mean, trust, a lot of energy expended here between Chris Paul and especially Everett Thompson on that Indiana bench. No love lost between these two teams. And yeah, not every day you see the coach on top of the boards shaking the glass. And then eventually in the third period, just a minute and 40 seconds in, it was Noah Bradburn putting it in the back of the net to make it 3-2 Indiana. And that would be the final goal of the game. Prowlers with a hectic sequence at the end, trying to find it with Huber pulled, unable to do so, and their 5-game winning streak is snapped. They had a couple of looks at it, but couldn't keep it in the zone. Indiana survives 3-2 as Werber, I mean, I know he gave up 2 goals, but 41 saves to avoid the sweep and break Indiana's match Friday back at McMorran Arena in Port Huron. Don't go anywhere. Have much more for you on the post-game show when we come back. Take a look at the final game stats. Take a look at the couple other games going on around the Fed right here on the PHP Network.
Hockey is like a business. One missed pass can derail the perfect plan. Have Taft Consulting help you get your whole team on the same page. They have the expertise to help you follow through on all your goals. Find out how they can help you today by emailing taftconsulting@outlook.com.
Hello, I'm home.
There he is.
What is happening?
Relax. We won. They brought back the snack wrap. Spicy or ranch?
Spicy.
Yeah, go. Yeah. Just one little bite.
Can you stop?
Oh, sorry.
Gather your crew. Snack Wrap is back.
SMR Automotive Systems is part of the Motherson Group and a proud community sponsor of the Port Huron Prowlers. We are one of the largest manufacturers of rear-view mirrors for passenger vehicles in the world, with local plants in Port Huron and Marysville. We strive to support our local communities and have positions available for various abilities and experience. Find out more about who we are at smr-automotive.com.
What's more authentic than a Hungry Howie's Detroit-style pizza? Nothing. We're not playing around with the pizza of our birthplace. Thick crust, cheese to the edge, sauce on the top. Where it belongs. We've seen a lot of fakes out there. Not here. This is authentic Detroit-style pizza. Order yours now online for $12.99. We sauce the top and rep for the 313 everywhere. We do bold. Hungry
Howie's!
This isn't working. LJ, pass me those flyers. No look behind the back pass. It's a whole play. I'll take. Come on. Gap up. Close the gap. Close the gap. What are we saying? This isn't working. We need a shift change. Let's bring in the professionals.
Back here on the PHP Network, wrapping up this 3-game series as the Prowlers fall in game 3, 3-2 against the Indiana Sentinels. Let's take a look at the final game stats here presented by Gunther Graphics. Really, the shots on goal are what stand out. Anytime you outshoot someone 44-27, you're going to expect to find a way to get the win. But hey, it's a long season. Over the course of 56 games, sometimes you get goalied and you tip your cap to John Werber, who made 42 saves. Hey, Prowlers have been on the other end of that, where Reed Cooper has stood on his head or Bailey Huber has shut someone out. Going 0 for 3 on the power play does not help things. A lot of that PIM, in fact, I think 20 minutes of each side's PIM happened in the same span at the 1932 mark of the second period. Inflated those numbers a little bit. It was a testy game, but it wasn't anything for the Prowlers and what we've seen in this league at times. It wasn't that crazy. Speaking of everything else going on in the league, there were 2 other games heading on around the league. Let's take a look at our out-of-town scoreboard as we wrap this up. Brought to you by Love After Hours Boutique and Boudoir. In PD and Blue Ridge, that matchup tied at 1. Now, I'm sure Prowlers fans, when you're done here, that's going to be one you're looking at. I know we've been focused on Topeka, but Blue Ridge has come on a bit as of late, where they are now the main competition, I would say, for that 2 spot. Despite Topeka having some talent, they are struggling to figure it out, and Blue Ridge is surging. They started off out of the gates rather slow. They've started to find their rhythm a little bit coming down the home stretch. So whether it's a trip to Virginia or a trip to Kansas, it's looking like it's one of those 2 in the 2-3. Keep an eye on that one. The other one that's not doesn't affect the Prowlers really at all, but still interesting to see how it goes down. The Twin City trying to knock off the Rock Lobsters. Athens in a battle in that Continental Division. That's really a 3-team race. And Monroe had that lengthy win streak, but Athens and Columbus have been there battling with them as well. PD and the Thunderbirds are going to be battling for that 3rd and final spot in the Continental Division. And of course, Indiana did top Port Huron 3-2 to wrap up the weekend. Still more to come here on the post-game show as Will Wiggleman talked to our Gunther Graphics player of the game, had our Schultz Roofing coach interview with associate head coach Chris Paulin. We'll take a break, come back. You'll hear that and more when we return right here on the PHP.
Welcome to the new era of Prowlers hockey. New owner, new store, new horn, fire, projectors on the ice. Yeah, this isn't your dad's McMorrin experience. This is Prowlers hockey. Get your tickets for the show now at phprowlers.com/tickets.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PH Prowlers, and Twitter at PH Prowlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
We're on Prowlers hockey, presented by Proper Tail Ballers. Shot. Will Wiggleman back one final time here in Indiana as the Prowlers fell tonight to wrap up their 3-game set to the Sentinels by a final score of 3-2. Oh, and I'm back. Prowlers see their 5-game win streak come to a close, and the Sentinels see their 5-game losing skid come to an end. So Port Huron heads back home, still shy of 80 points in the standings. They are at 78 right now at 27-13-1. The Sentinels get their 10th win of the season. They are now 10-27-4 with 29 points, still bringing up the rear in the Empire Division. But moments ago, I did get a chance to chat with our Gunther Graphics player of the game, Blake Anderson. I'm here with tonight's Gunther Graphics player of the game, Blake Anderson. After the loss to the Indiana Sentinels, you had a goal, first goal of the game for the Prowlers tonight. Just take us through it.
I just got a loose puck in the neutral zone with speed. Came in between the dots and just ripped it low blocker. Found the back, so it's pretty good.
Tough one for you today, but obviously 5 out of 6, you guys get the wins on this road trip, and then you get to head back to your fans. But just talk about the road trip as a whole, how it's worked out for you.
I mean, yeah, these last 2 weeks have really been tough. I mean, 6 games in 2 weeks is not easy, right? So I mean, we had success. We had a lot of success, and I mean, tonight we just didn't play a full 60, and we'll go back to the drawing board on Monday and regroup and go back at her next week.
Obviously, a lot of bad blood between you guys, and you get them again in 5 days from now. Expecting a lot of that to boil over?
Yeah, we don't like those guys one bit, and they know that. And I mean, they better be ready for Friday because we're coming with a lot more intensity, and they're going to have to do a lot to beat us next week.
As your Gunther Graphics player of the game, Gunther Graphics, your go-to guy for logos, websites, and branding. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
And that was Blake Anderson, who scored the Prowlers' first goal this afternoon as he was named the Gunther Graphics player of the game. Anderson had himself a strong weekend, 5 points on 2 goals and 3 assists through the 3 games, as his line produced a lot of offense, especially on Friday when they had 3 of the 5 Prowler goals. This one should be interesting. Prowlers associate head coach Chris Paulin on the Schultz Roofing coaches interview. He had a lot of interesting things to say. So here is Coach Paulin. I'm here with Prowlers associate head coach Chris Paulin on the Schultz Roofing coaches interview following the 3-2 loss to the Indiana Sentinels. And Coach, obviously this one was getting testy throughout. Your goaltender got knocked into a few times, not just today, but throughout the weekend. What was the intel what were you being told about those plays?
Well, you could just hear it. Their head coach was telling his guys to run the goalie. So there wasn't a lot of mystery there. So they took a few runs at our goalies throughout the weekend. A couple times there were a little bit of bumps, hard play. A couple times were pretty egregious. So I think the refs I guess didn't see it, and a lot happens out there. I mean, they can't catch it all, right? But I loved our response. I think at the end of the second period, we had just one of the worst shifts I've actually ever seen, ever. And then we could have lost some momentum off of that, and then Parse and Grammer step up, and all of a sudden we're buzzing and going. So I think great response from the group, and at the end of the day, we just made too many mistakes to win a hockey game.
Yeah, a lot of fights. You talked about those fights there at the end of that period, and you and Everett Thompson looked like you might have been next. You'll be a little bit closer when you get back to McMorran on Friday. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, again, even the referee came up to me and said, he's gonna talk to him. He's warned him the things that he's saying to our players. It goes beyond the line of just chirping, but if he wants to play, I don't know if he's in playing shape, but if he wants to play, he can put his gear on and play. If not, he needs to zip his lip and coach his team. That's what I think. But at the end of the day, I do give that organization credit. They had a good game plan. They stuck to it. They were as disciplined as they could be. They gave themselves a chance, getting grossly outshot to win a hockey game, and they did that. So I do give them credit for that. This road trip overall, you get 5 out of 6, and now you get to go back home. Just talk about the road trip as a whole last weekend and this weekend. Yeah, I mean, we're very focused on the present with this group. So what happened last weekend's dead and gone. I really only want to talk about tonight. Tonight, there's a lot of good things. So again, sometimes when you lose a game, you can be very reactive. I want to watch the film first before I say too much, but there was a lot of good things. Even guys that didn't have it today played really hard, which I respect a lot. Some days for whatever reason you just don't have your fastball. I thought there's a lot of guys in that room that gutted it out and grinded. It is a good lesson for our group though, because you saw as the clock's ticking in the third period, we're down a goal. It's easy to kind of stray away from the game plan and start to try to do a little bit too much, and then you don't have good support. You're not able to win first touch in the ozone. You're not able to sustain any ozone pressure. So that can happen. I think that's human nature. So it's a good lesson for our group right now to go through something like that, and experience it. So I think we're going to be in situations as we go here down the stretch where we're going to be in those moments. You got to stay focused. You got to execute what you're supposed to. We come up with a game plan for a reason. I think that was a good lesson for our group. How do you think your team responded down to 3 defensemen for the first 5+ minutes of that third period? Yeah, give those guys a lot of credit. And then Bobby Price, he's been an alternate for some time now.
He got his opportunity. I thought he put together some unbelievable shifts in that situation. I thought Favs did a nice job playing with them and making his job as easy as possible. But Price sure has all the tools to be an effective D-man if he ever wanted to be. So he did a really good job. He's just a good overall hockey player, understands the game, and then you can tell that he, very quickly pays attention in the video sessions. He knew exactly what to do, and I give him a lot of credit for being able to switch like that and put some shifts together for us.
Are you expecting a lot of this nastiness to boil over and continue on when you guys meet on Friday at McMorran?
Yeah, 100%. Our team plays heavy. We play hard. We protect each other. I mean, if they're shouting to run our goalie and then they keep running the goalie, that's going to be a problem, obviously. I mean, it's craziness. It's craziness, Will, right? So, I mean, if that's the game they want to play, I mean, yeah, they really tie your hands is how you handle it. But no, our group is very tight-knit. We have a very good challenge out of us this week. It has been a long road trip. Guys will be able to get home, get some rest, and then we have a lot to digest here, put together a plan that's airtight for next weekend, and I know our group is really excited for that challenge.
It's Coach Paulin on the Schultz Roofing Coaches Interview. We'll see you next weekend.
You got it, Wiggs.
And that was Prowler Associate Head Coach Chris Paulin following this afternoon's 3-2 loss to the Indiana Sentinels. That's going to do it for me here in Indiana. Once again, the Prowlers will be next on the ice against these same Sentinels, but back home at McMorran Place, 7:05 p.m. on March the 6th. If you can make it out there, we'll see you there. If not, we'll see you here on the PHP Network. Christian Jackson was our technical director this afternoon back in our PHP Network studios in Michigan. He was assisted by Kyle Cosson, Liz Brown, and Andres Hyde. Here in Indiana, I had Aiden Bricker with me. He also acted as a second camera. Thank you to the Indiana Sentinels media team for the use of their main camera. For Brady Beaton and the entire crew, I'm Will Wiggleman saying have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. We'll take a breath, and we will be back on Friday night at McMorran Place for the Prowlers and Sentinels.